even more space for programs and organized activities we plan in the future by not only our city staff, but also our community partners.
It's so exciting to be here today to celebrate. All right, good evening. I'd like to call the May 14, 2026 meeting of the Greenville City Council to order. I'm Mayor P.J. Connolly, presiding over tonight's meeting. First, I'd like to call on Councilmember Matt Scully for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for another beautiful spring day in eastern North Carolina. Pray that you will bless us tonight as we make decisions that impact our neighbors. Give us wisdom, grace, empathy, and courage to do what is right for the benefit of our whole community. We pray especially for the family of our friend and colleague Danae Alexander, who lost her mother this past week after a battle with dementia. Pray that you will surround her and her family with love and support during this difficult time. And we thank you, God, for Miss Gloria J. Alexander and the love and legacy that she's left, especially our friend Danae. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mayor Connolly.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Foreman.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Hardy.
Here.
Councilmember Scully.
Here.
Councilmember Robinson.
Here.
Councilmember Willis.
Here.
All right, Mayor Connolly, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the approval of tonight's agenda. Mr. Manager, any recommended changes?
Have no changes, Mayor.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Hardy, second by Councilmember
Can
Scully.
I pull something for discussion?
Which,
Is it too late? Number 8.
well, that'll be, we'll go over that. That's the public hearing.
Public hearing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
is it?
you're good.
Is it?
So I got a motion by Councilmember Hardy, second by Councilmember Scully. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, we'll move on to special recognitions. I know where you're going with that.
Yeah. That's right. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask Mr. Billy Leavy and his family to come forward.
Oh, we don't have
It is my honor to recognize Mr. Billy Leavy for his retirement from the city of Greenville. And as I always do, I'd like to just give you a little bit of background about Billy. Billy started his career with the city of Greenville July of 1996. Still almost in high school. Yeah. As a refuse collector and retired as of May 1st. He worked as a team member in the sanitation division to provide refuse services to single and multifamily residents. As a self-motivated and versatile professional, Billy's commitment to customer service and his deep connection with our residents have left an indelible mark on our community. His hard work and kindness will be missed. So tonight we recognize Billy's 29 years and 9 months of service to our community and wish him the best in retirement. You know, Billy, I will say that the service that you provide represents everything great about the city of Greenville. And I say it over and over again, we have the best employees in the world, but you have dedicated your life to serving the residents of our city. And there are thousands and thousands of families out there that you have affected over the years that they don't even know it, but you have made their lives better. And on behalf of the city of Greenville, I just thank you for your commitment to the city of Greenville and thank you for your service. Here, let me read this bad boy out. In recognition of 29 years and 9 months of outstanding service, we extend our sincere appreciation to Billy T. Leavy. That's the first day of May. That was his actual retirement day. This the first day of May 2026 from P.J. Conley, Mayor, and Michael W. Cowan, City Manager. Congratulations.
Thank you. Stop.
I'm sitting there thinking, when we said 96, I hadn't even gotten to high school yet.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not gonna say how old I am.
You just 20 years in your law firm at that point, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
10.
All right, we'll move on now to the public comment period. The public comment period is a period reserved for comments by the public. Items that were or scheduled will be the subject of a public hearing conducted at this meeting or another meeting during the same week shall not be discussed. A total of 30 minutes is allocated, with each individual being allowed no more than 3 minutes. Individuals who register with the city clerk to speak will speak in the order registered until the allotted 30 minutes expires. If time remains after all persons who have registered have spoken, individuals who did not register will have an opportunity to speak until the allotted 30 minutes expires. Madam Clerk, our first speaker.
Yes, sir. Miss Angeline Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell, if you want to approach the public podium, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and council. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, council.
Good evening, Ms.
members.
Mitchell.
My name is Angeline Mitchell, as you well know. I am from Greenville, North Carolina. This is my home, so that means I've been around quite some time. Nonetheless, I would like to have a debate or like some discussion as to why ICE is being questioned or that they would not like it to be here. And I did see the daily paper today stating that Ms. Portia Willis had misconceptions about it. So I would like to understand and know why you have them and see what everybody else would like to say about ICE being into the community. And I don't need to go on 30 minutes right now, I don't think, because I would very much like to hear why that question was asked.
So if I could just explain, as far as public comment goes, this is really the time for the community to come and make their comments to the council. There's not really like a back and forth, we just receive. But if you do want to hear from any council member specifically, then we can make sure to provide you with their contact information if you want to reach out directly. That'd be
So it,
You know what? Thank you, Ms. Mitchell, for being here. I will make comment in regards to your question. Thank you. In terms of ICE, about a month ago, we had citizens to come and ask if we could replicate the Philadelphia model. And so my request was for our city manager to either bring it to us in a workshop or in a council meeting such as this, to be able to talk about if we could replicate that model, what that model looked like, and that's what they did. And so what you were privy to was the staff responding to that request, being able to provide the information, and let us know what our ability was to be able to affect that issue in Greenville.
So at that meeting, the public was left out of that meeting, is that correct?
Not to my knowledge, no. That was just this Monday night.
That was, okay, so that's when it was discussed, you're saying?
Right, they did a public presentation to us.
Okay, so can I finish then saying a little bit about as to why I would like to see ICE in the city? Meaning, there's a lot going on. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about ICE. At least I think it is, because there are a lot of illegal immigrants into this community and the city and basically everywhere else. And a lot of times, there's a lot of crime going on. As I said, I'm from Greenville. And there's been a lot of runovers, even in the Old River area. I mean, even today, they arrested 3 immigrants on drug charges. It's constantly, what's going on is in the news. I don't know why it would even be questioned as to why they would come. I mean, if ICE can't do it, the police is surely not doing it. The police seems to be following and doing the sheriff's job. If they did their job correctly, you might not need ICE. Too much is going on. I am from Greenville. And the police attacks are not reputable. So ICE, I think, will get the job done. I view the situation with ICE in Minnesota. One of them I thought was granted with the young lady. But she didn't deserve to die. But nonetheless, her actions, what I saw, were taunting. They showed her drive her truck right up to the ICE officers, and whatever, one of the officers asked her to get out of the truck or whatever, she drove off with 2 of them standing there. Literally almost hit one of them. And he took out his gun and shot her. The other one, a nurse. Immigrant nurse. I didn't think he deserved it because the only thing I saw that he was doing with his camera out.
And that's time.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
Ms. Mitchell, thank you.
And I'll respond to Angeline. Stop right there. You have a right to your opinion, and each person on council also has a right to theirs. But a lot of what we do is not necessarily based on a personal opinion, but the people that we're elected to serve. And so we really do appreciate you coming up and sharing your opinion, but respectfully, respect other people's as well. Okay, just wanted to say that. And you and I can talk offline. I would love to talk to you offline.
No, I think it needs to be publicly heard. I mean, you know, that's respect, publicly heard.
Thank you.
Why take me privately?
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. We appreciate it. Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
Mayor Conley, we do not have any additional registered speakers.
Anyone else that'd like to speak during the public comment period, please come forward, state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes. Seeing none, close the public comment period. We'll move on to appointments. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Let me get my list. We've got quite a few.
Saw that.
All right, we'll start with the Environmental Advisory Commission. Councilmember Scully.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Zach Nichols. Oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me. He's for the MTC. I need to wait on that
Okay.
nomination. I'm so sorry.
All right, yep, not
Thank
a
you.
problem, sure. Councilmember Robinson.
I'd like to hold on to that. I'm still looking.
Okay, sure thing.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Jones.
I would like to nominate Ms. Deborah Goldberg.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Jones, second by Councilmember Robinson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Congratulations, Ms. Goldberg.
Next, we have the Firefighters Relief Fund Committee. Anyone on council is eligible to make a nomination to this board? Or we can continue. Sounds like continue. Next, we have the Historic Preservation Commission. Councilmember Hardy.
I'd like to nominate Jackson Holder and Wiley Hidcock.
I'd second that.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Hardy, second by Councilmember Robinson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Congratulations, Mr. Holder, Mr. Haycock. Haycock.
Okay. Next, we have the Housing Authority. Still have not heard from the Residents Council or from the Housing Authority about the Resident Commissioner. Next appointment is Councilmember Hardy.
I'd like to nominate Shamika Banks.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Hardy, second by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Congratulations, Ms. Jones.
Okay, next.
Miss,
Thanks.
thanks. I told you I was tired.
All right, next, Mayor Conley.
Continue.
Okay. Human Relations Council, Mayor Conley.
Continue.
Okay. Multimodal Transportation Commission, Mayor Pro Tem Foreman.
Continue.
Okay. Mayor Conley.
Continue.
Okay. Councilmember Scully.
Mr. Zach Nichols.
Okay. All right.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Scully, second by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Congratulations, Mr. Nichols, right?
Yes, sir.
Next, we have Councilmember Hardy.
Continue.
Okay. All right. Police Community Relations Committee, Councilmember Robinson.
Continue, please.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Willis.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Tina Barnes.
Okay.
I'll second. I'm
All
sorry.
right. Motion's made by Councilmember Willis, second by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0. Mayor Conley.
Congratulations, Ms.
Oh,
Barnes.
sorry.
Continue.
All right. And finally, we have the Recreation and Parks Commission, Mayor Pro Tem Foreman.
Continue.
Okay. Councilmember Hardy.
I'd like to nominate Grant Humphreys.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Hardy, second by Councilmember Scully. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Where's that name again?
And next, we have also Recreation and Parks, Councilmember Robinson.
Continue, please.
All right, Mayor Conley, that concludes the appointments to boards and commissions.
All right, now we'll move on to appointments to the Invest Greenville Board.
So we have just recently implemented a rotating schedule. So the first seat that we have expired July 2025. We're just catching that up, and that will be made by Mayor Conley.
Okay,
Do you have a nomination or continue that?
I'm gonna continue that one.
Okay.
I need to talk to my colleagues first.
All right, additionally, just to catch up, we also need an assignment of a city council liaison to this board. Continue, okay. All right, and that concludes the appointments for tonight.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
We'll now move on to new business. This is the policy of the public hearing adopted by the city council. A petitioner or a representative of the petitioner and a leader of those in opposition will each have 10 minutes. Persons following them will have up to 3 minutes each, with a total on each side no more than 30 minutes. Additionally, I want to remind those in attendance to extend the courtesy to persons speaking during the public hearing and to the city council during discussions. Comments made by members of the public are to occur only during the public hearing as allowed by the mayor in accordance with adopted policy of the city council. There should be no interruptions of speakers or council members, including expressions of support or disagreements verbally or by applause, as this is distracting and makes discussion difficult. We ask for your cooperation. Thank you. Mr. Manager, our first public hearing?
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 4, ordinance to annex Hungate's Commercial Park, portion of Lot 6 involving 0.50 acres located along the eastern right-of-way of Hungate Drive and 475 plus or minus feet south of Old Fire Tower Road. I'll now call forward our Assistant Director, Ashante Gooby, for the presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. This rezoning is located in the southeastern quadrant of the city. It is more specifically located south of Old Fire Tower Road, it's to the west of County Home Road. What you see in green is the current city limits, and the property is shown in red. This property is located on the tiered growth map in a preferred growth area. The property is located in the Fork Swamp Canal watershed, and if stormwater rules apply, it will require 25-year detention. If the property is annexed, it will be in voting district number 4. This property is currently a parking lot. It is anticipated to stay a parking lot. They're just doing some other improvements in the property and have brought this before you to be annexed in. The estimated value of the property is almost $44,000. And then, as always, this property is in the city's ETJ, and it's important to note under Section 6 of GUC's charter that the development can still be provided sanitary sewer if the annexation is denied. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Gooby? Thank you very much. Public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Good evening. How y'all doing?
Good, thank you.
I'm Stuart Sorrell. I'm with Sorrell Land Surveying. I'm here if there's any questions about the survey.
Thank you very much. Anyone else that'd like to speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes. Seeing none, those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Open for a board discussion or motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, motion been made by Councilmember Robinson, second by Councilmember Scully. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
On to item number 5.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 5, ordinance to annex the towns at Davenport Farms, Phase 1, involving 4.9356 acres located north of Davenport Farm Road and the current termini of Masters Lane. I'll again call forward our Assistant Director, Ashante Gooby, for the presentation.
This property is located in the southwest quadrant of the city. It is more specifically located at the 2 ends of Masters Lane. Current city limits is shown in green. Subject property is shown in red. The property is located in the Swift Creek watershed, and if stormwater rules apply, it will require 10-year detention. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sure why it did that. Hold on.
Okay, we got a closer view.
I know, right?
I was having to squint anyway.
Hold up. There we go. Okay. I got to be careful. The property is located on the tiered growth map in a primary service area. If the property is annexed, it will be located in voting district number 5. It's anticipated to yield about 45 multifamily units. It is almost 5 acres. Estimated value of the improvements is $9 million. And as always, the property is located in the ETJ. And under Section 6 of GUC's charter, the development can still be provided sanitary sewer if the annexation is denied. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Gooby? Thank you. Public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. First person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Open for board discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Willis, second by Councilmember Robinson. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Move on to item number 6.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 6, ordinance to annex Tucker Farms Rentals LLC, property involving 2.200 acres located along the western right-of-way of Charles Boulevard and between Terra Court and Exchange Drive. Again, call forward Assistant Director Shante Gooby for the presentation.
This property is located in the southwest quadrant of the city. It's more specifically located along Charles Boulevard, in front of Terra Court and the Landing Apartments. Again, existing city limits is shown in green, subject property is shown in red. This property is located in the Fork Swamp watershed, and if stormwater rules apply, it will require 25-year detention. The property is shown in a primary service area on the tiered growth map. If annexed, it will be located in voting district number 4, and it's anticipated to yield about 36 multifamily units. Again, it's just a little bit over 2 acres. The estimated value of those improvements is a little over $7 million. And again, the property is located in the ETJ, and under Section 6 of GUC's charter, the development can still be provided sanitary sewer if the annexation is denied, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? We are just filled with questions tonight.
This is a good thing.
Yes. All right, the public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Open for a board discussion or motion.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion is made by Councilmember Robinson, second by Councilmember Willis. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item number 7.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 7, ordinance to annex Helen Adams Division Lot 1 involving 2.074 acres located at the northwestern corner of the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Highway and Witcher Road. Again, call forward Assistant Director Shante Gooby for the presentation.
This property is located in the northeast quadrant of the city. It is more specifically located at the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Highway, Witcher Road. This property currently already has a building on it. Again, current city limits is shown in green, subject property is shown in red. The property is located in the Johnson Mill Run Parkers Creek watershed, and if stormwater rules apply, it will require 25-year detention. The property is located in a preferred growth area on the tiered growth map. If annexed, it'll be located in voting district number 1. Okay. Again, property already contains about a 7,400 square foot building. The estimated value, almost $400,000. And again, property is located in the ETJ. And it's important to note, under Section 6, GUC's charter, the development can still be served with sanitary sewer. If the annexation is denied, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? I think, is it 3 it becomes a streak? We're on number 4, I think.
Don't jinx me.
Yeah, and mine is next.
All right. Public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Open for a board discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I like it, the District 1, right in your district, I like it, quick. All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Jones, second by Councilmember Hardy. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
We shall move on to number 8.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 8, ordinance to annex Oxford Ridge, Phase 1, involving 13.00 acres located east of Frog Level Road and at the current terminus of Finn Court. Again, call forward our Assistant Director Shante Gooby for the presentation.
This property is in the southwest quadrant of the city. It is located west of Frog Level Road at the current terminus of Finn Court. Existing city limits are shown in green. Subject property is shown in red. The property is located in the Swift Creek watershed. If stormwater rules apply, it will require 25-year detention. The property is located in a primary service area on the tiered growth map. If annexed, the property will be in voting district number 2. The property is anticipated to yield about 31 single-family homes with an estimated tax value at just a little over $9 million. And again, the property is in the ETJ. Under Section 6 of GUC's charter, the development can still be served with sanitary sewer if the annexation is denied, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Here we
And
go.
here goes the streak. So, I had community meetings yesterday, and one of them was with that neighborhood. The citizens there that I communicated with did not necessarily have opposition, but they did have some questions that I would like to, even though I've started discussions about behind the scenes, would like to mention publicly. One of which was they have a retention pond that has been being managed on Finn Drive, or not even on Finn Drive, it's behind, it's near Finn Drive.
Okay.
That belongs to the Mill Creek HOA is in their property
Okay.
area. And they're wondering if the new neighborhood would be using the same retention pond, because they've been maintaining it with the funds that they raise with their HOA.
I can't see the subdivision in my head, how it's laid out, so I'm not 100% sure. Because I see what looks like, if you can tell, two different, what I believe are stormwater ponds.
Right.
So I can't tell you with 100% specificity, but I would say if they are sharing those, then they should have shared costs, meaning it shouldn't all be borne onto one neighborhood, because they do have their stormwater.
That's right.
And so that there should be some kind of proportion to cost share if they are sharing the pond.
Can you and I have a conversation about that so that I can just get the information and be able to communicate it back to them?
I will. I'm not an expert, but I'll be happy to try to help you.
Okay. In addition to that, the biggest concern was if you think about Mill Creek neighborhood, and you're coming off of Frog Level Road, and you make a left onto Mill Creek Drive to go into the neighborhood, there's one entranceway in and one entranceway out. That neighborhood has been going through constant growth for the last several years. And again, they're not opposing that, but all of the construction that is being had, they're having to access through that main drive, which is Mills Creek Drive. Do you see on the map where I'm talking about?
I use my cursor. I'm not sure if it shows up.
So right off of Frog Level Road.
So I see Mill Creek Drive comes in, so it ends in a cul-de-sac.
And then they go, that's
So
right,
then you
they're
have
gonna
to
make
go
that left to
north.
Megan and drive all the way back to Finn. And so that was an established neighborhood. It has been established for years. On Megan Drive, at the back of Megan Drive, they've already experienced a huge amount of growth with new homes, and now this new neighborhood. But where their concern is there a way to gain access for construction without going through the entire neighborhood? Their concerns are related to safety, the time that construction starts in the morning, So is there a way, because if you think about the way that is, you can't see it from this map, once you go back up to Frog Level from Mill Creek Drive and make the right on Frog Level, you go up to the light and it's perpendicular to Dickinson. So is there a way for where Finn Court is and where this expansion is going to be, that they could create some type of access that does not take it all the way through the neighborhood? And I know that we cannot require that, I've already done my homework, but is there a way, and I'm saying this publicly just to let them know that we're having these discussions, that we can talk to, and Michael, you can chime in if you want, that we can talk to the developer and see if that's possible?
Councilmember Foreman, what I would say is we can take a look at the map and see if some of that farmland, if there would be a way to get back there. And if so, then we can have a conversation with the contractor, and like you said, you hit the nail on the head. We can say that, hey, look, would you be interested in trying to acquire a construction easement to be able to access that property, so as to not have to go through the property? Yes, we can have, I'll have that conversation.
Okay.
Could we looking at the map that's situated for us, the entranceway maybe from the north? If you go straight up.
That's what we're talking about.
I don't want us to figure out that route right here, but yes,
Right.
we'll take that back and we'll look at what some potential routes are, and then contact the contractor and some members of the community and see if we can have that conversation about construction easement.
All right. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you very much. The public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. First person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Open for board discussion or motion.
I do have a question. Mayor Pro Tem Foreman, are you comfortable moving forward given the, what we've heard tonight?
I'm comfortable. I wanted to elevate what their concerns are, because I think these concerns are there's so much expansion going on around our community that the concerns are consistent with other neighborhoods. They are concerned about safety of their children, with trucks driving through all the time, as well as the conditions of the roads, and, we know what happens there. Just want to make sure that they're aware that we're going to do whatever it takes to have conversations to do what we can do legally, because legally we cannot require it, but it seems reasonable. And looking at Mayor's map now, it seems reasonable that there would be able to be an easement identified at the back of the property there that leads out to the main road without going through their neighborhood repeatedly. So hopefully the construction company would be willing to have that conversation and be a good neighbor and accommodate the citizens. So.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion been made by Councilmember Willis, second by Councilmember Scully. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Shall move on to
All right.
item number 9.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 9, ordinance requested by Boviet USA Property LLC to rezone 34.45 acres located at the northeastern corner of the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Highway and Sugg Parkway from PIU, Planned Unoffensive Industry, to IU, Unoffensive Industry. Again, call forward our Assistant Director, Shante Gooby, for the presentation.
This property is located in the northeast quadrant of the city. Again, it is located along Martin Luther King Jr. Highway. Sugg Parkway is just to the south. This property is also located in the recognized industrial area. This property, as you can see, already has a building on it, so this is the current location of one of the buildings for Boviet Solar. So this is a photograph from Sug Parkway looking to the north. So Martin Luther King Jr. Highway would be to your left, and then we kind of did the reverse, which is on the right-hand side, that would be Sug Parkway. This property is, again, located in the industrial area, and the change in zoning, staff does not anticipate any change in intensity between the current and the proposed zoning as far as traffic is concerned, so a traffic report was not generated. The property is almost 35 acres. And the property, again, since it's already developed, it already has its stormwater pond. So the watershed and that kind of stuff's already been taken care of because it's already built. And under the current zoning, which is planned unoffensive industry, the property contains about 535,000 square feet. Again, it's being used for manufacturing of solar panels. Staff doesn't anticipate a change in the use at all. But what the change really does is in changing from the current zoning to the proposed zoning, it actually is reducing the setbacks, okay? And that's the real motive for what they're trying to do. The representative of the company is here tonight. He can answer you some more specific questions, but it does sort of beg the question of why are you even doing this? So I just wanted to just go ahead and try to answer that question. The future land use plan does recommend industrial and logistics in this area. Again, it's in the recognized industrial area. You have the future land use plan on the left-hand side. You have the current zoning on the right-hand side. Again, both of these are industrial zonings. Staff recommends approval of the request, and at the April 21st, 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the commission voted unanimously to recommend approval, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Hey, starting a new street. Yeah. All right, the public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
It will not be 10 minutes. Mayor Connolly, members of council, my name is Tom Terrell. I'm with the law firm Fox Rothschild in the Greensboro office. I'm here tonight representing Boviet Solar. Shantae is exactly correct. The first question in your mind might be if there is no change of use and if there is no increase in traffic, why on earth are you changing zoning districts? And it's purely because you have some arbitrary setback requirements in one district that you don't have in another, and some different setbacks are needed in order to put the second building on the site. It is the most non-controversial zoning I probably will present to a board in a 10-year period. I would like to say, Mayor Connolly, before I sit down, I said something similar at the Planning Commission. I get to many, many jurisdictions in North Carolina, counties, cities, towns. I actually go into adjoining states. It caught me by surprise when I made my very first phone call to Greenville, and somebody answered the phone, and that was Shantae. And every time I have spoken to her, she answers her phone directly. It is not common when you try to reach a planning department that somebody is accessible. She replies very quickly to emails. I even have one of them that came in over a weekend. And I don't know if you're aware that this is uncommon service, but while I'm standing here, I want to make sure you know it's uncommon service and you need to protect this going forward. I do stand here further if you need answers to questions.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, how about that? That was pretty good, Shantae.
You didn't see the 100.
Is he gonna do a Google review for you?
That's good. I like that.
Very proud.
All right, anyone else who'd like to speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes. Seeing none, those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. First person that has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Open for board discussion or motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Scully, second by Councilmember Jones. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
We shall move on to number 10, the last public hearing of the night.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to hear you read it.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 10, ordinance requested by the Community Development Services Department to make various changes to the Unified Development Ordinance UDO, including but not limited to updating the name of the Planning and Development Services to Community and Development Services, and renaming Neighborhood Meeting to Community Engagement Meeting, adding and or amending the following definitions: alcohol beverage control, event center, microbrewery, and microdistillery, updating and reorganizing the table of uses in the table of permitted vegetation, clarifying the parking requirements for recreation indoor, skating rinks, pool halls, and the like, and golf course, par 3, driving range, miniature golf, and the like, deleting event center, mixed beverage permit as a use in the following zoning districts: MO, MCH, MUI, OR, IU, IPIU, and PI, clarifying the number of security personnel required for bars, Bar 2022s, microdistilleries, and microbreweries, if amplified entertainment after 11 p.m. is provided, and updating the standards for shelter for homeless or abused persons, accessory sales, alcohol sales, microdistillery, and sidewalk requirements along existing public streets. I'll now ask our Assistant Director, Shante Gooby, to come forward for the presentation.
Can you read the zoning districts one more time?
I know I probably screwed that up, I'm sorry.
You did fine. I did that intentionally to give myself a break between items, right? So I'm going to give you a little bit of background, and also I want to say we're not going to go through all of those things because most of them are very self-explanatory. Most of these are housekeeping items. Council adopted the UDO November of last year. It became effective March of this year. Again, most of these are more or less housekeeping items. Our UDO is like this thick, and we're bound to, as we're starting to use it, find things that sort of don't make sense or was intended to be this way and not. But we still do it as a text amendment so that you will know as council and so that the public will know, and so that's why we're bringing these things to you. Really, there's only 4 that I want to go through. Those are more of, they need a little bit more of an explanation for why are you doing it. The first one that we're going to talk about, staff repeatedly uses the word alcohol establishments. And within alcohol establishments, we have a bar 2022, microbreweries, microdistilleries. I think that covers it. So what a lot of 1 and 2 are is to basically have those uses have the same standards when we're talking about it. We recognize they're different uses, but we also recognize that there should be a common thread through them when we're talking about the different standards. Specifically with number 2, security personnel, that's a cleanup, but we want all of them to have the same language because in a lot of ways they're very similar in nature. Number 3, this is clarifying parking requirements for those 2 uses, and I'll go into why those got picked up. And then the last one, again, number 4, an event center with a mixed beverage permit for the event center itself. We would like for that specific use to be allowed in the same zoning districts as alcohol establishments. So the first one, again, we're just treating microbreweries and microdistilleries to align with the standards of the other alcohol establishments. Microdistillery, it's an establishment where spirituous liquor is made on site. You can have on-premise consumption, but you can also buy it and take it with you. And again, this one bullet here just talks about having the different violations or the counts, if you will, having those similar to the rest of the alcohol establishments. Number 2, this is one actually from staff. I brought a text amendment a couple of months ago, and we realized that the language that was in there didn't really make sense. And so I promised you that I would bring this back and have it clarified. And so that's essentially what this is. So I'm showing you the red line text, which is in your packet. So what you see in red with strike-throughs, that means it's disappearing, and anything that is in red is new. And essentially what this does is this clarifies that an alcohol establishment that has amplified entertainment after 11 p.m. does have to have security personnel, and we've just cleaned up the ratio, essentially, so that anywhere up to 200, and I want to clarify, that's the occupancy, not the number of people there that night. It's based on the occupancy, that they would have to have 2 security personnel. And the other thing that we've added for more clarity is that if the instances where you have 2 security personnel and you're downtown, the security personnel can stay inside the building and work on getting people out. But if they have a private parking lot, then we would have one of the people in the parking lot again as traffic is dispersed. So we just added that little clarifier in there. This is the slide that's in your packet. This is the final version. This third one, this is again about clarifying the parking requirements. These are actually 2 different uses. So you have indoor recreation, think of a skating rink or something like that. And then we also have any kind of golf-related use that we've pulled out. So in the top box of this one for indoor recreation, we currently have where you would have 1 space for every 200 square feet of activity. It had plus 10 spaces for waiting, which is old language from our original zoning ordinance. And then we also had employee parking. And so what we did was to clean that up and take out the plus 10 spaces for waiting, and I'm going to explain to you why we did that. And then for anything related to golf, we have the existing language, and then we have the new language. So one of the things we did when we were doing the UDO was to try to update the parking standards and to try to limit extraneous parking spaces. Some of you were in those small groups, and you might remember we gave you the example of the chef store and how much parking they had under the old regulations, and how when we modernized it, it brought it down to probably what was a more reasonable amount of parking. So that brings us to why we deleted the 10 spaces for waiting inside. That didn't seem to make sense, that you would be waiting outside of a skate rink. And so what we did was I used the ice skating place on Red Banks Road as an example. It's 20,000 square feet. I assume 6 employees. So under our current standards, they would owe us 115 spaces. And if you've been in that parking lot, that is almost double of what they have, and probably don't need 115 spaces. So under the new standards, they would owe us 54, which is about what they have now. This one is a little bit more complicated, and we never intended for it to be as complicated as it was. I'm referring all the way back to the old zoning ordinance and the standards that we had. And so I looked at a golf course, standard 18-hole course. I just assumed 6 employees. And if you do the math, that will bring you to roughly 19 spaces. The other thing to remember is this is just the minimum number. They can do 25, they can do 35. This is just the minimum. When we did the UDO language, we swapped the numbers inadvertently that we didn't mean to do. So you'll see we went from 1 space for 3 Ts to 3 spaces per T. So what that means is in that same example, when you do the math, they would have 67 parking spaces, which was never the intent. So we're essentially undoing those numbers and getting our count correctly. And we took out the 10 spaces for waiting. And again, under this scenario, 9 spaces minimum, but they can do more than that. And then this is the last one. So for the event center with a mixed beverage permit, this is what it currently looks like in our table of uses. You can see there were some additional districts that it was allowed in, did require a special use permit. And so the text amendment, it will be allowed in the same district, still with a special use permit as a bar. So we're just having those same districts mirror each other. So in staff's opinion, this entire request is in compliance with the Horizons Plan and specifically policy 4.14, support a positive business climate, continue to market Greenville's excellent business climate, where appropriate, provide flexibility in development regulations to ensure a business climate that encourages growth and expansion, support business growth and retention through strategic public improvements, and the last one, ensure land regulations align with target industry needs. The P&Z at their April 21st meeting voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right, any questions?
I've got a couple, sorry. Could we go back to the security for
Sure.
alcohol establishments? Generally, I think this is really good, but what I'm concerned about is small businesses that are trying to increase business by having like an open mic night. For example, Uptown Brewery has an open mic night, which is sometimes pretty low attendance. They're just trying to get some people in there, have a good time, provide people an opportunity to play music. But that is amplified music, and I don't believe that they would be able to afford to have 2 professional security guards, nor would I believe it necessary for a small open mic night. So I'm just wondering if we have any kind of flexibility for situations like that.
That certainly is a discussion up for council. That's certainly something that we would, that we as staff would certainly entertain. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability, I'll say ability, to somehow make security personnel, whatever that amount is, commensurate with who's there at night. We don't have a measuring stick that says, well, I only have 25 people tonight. They don't really need anyone. And as always, we are making regulations for everyone and not one specific. I completely understand with what you're saying. And so we're kind of that juggling act between having businesses, having some security for the people who are there, but also for people who are not there, and trying to weigh that. And it's not an easy task. However, staff is always open to having more conversations, and is there a way to kind of balance that a little bit more? And I know that we have talked about alcohol establishments, the whole group of them ad nauseum. But there's certainly always time that we can go back and revisit it.
Yeah, I think that would be important, because I think there are other small businesses like that would be harmed by this. And I understand what you're saying. It's very difficult to, you don't want to pick favorites. That's not the right thing to do. But there is certainly a different character between a busy club and open mic night at a brewery. So I would just like to think more about how we can differentiate between those two things, so we're not eliminating a revenue source and a community engagement opportunity for small businesses.
So Councilmember Scully, are you requesting us to come back with more information related to this?
And
I believe
I
so.
agree with
Yes,
Councilmember
sir.
Scully. I don't really know what this would change for the other clubs and bars downtown, other than, your microbreweries. So yeah, I do think that it would hurt, your Pitt Street, and your microbreweries like that. So I think we should get some more information on that.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to learn a little bit more about the types of districts that were eliminated from the entertainment establishment, or sorry, the
Event center?
The event center. Thank you.
Oops, okay. So let me show you the red line. And the difference here, if this helps, is that This is for an event center that the event center holds the mixed beverage permit. So it is not in the case of where you can get one-time mixed beverage permits if you're renting a center. This is for when the event center has a mixed beverage permit, 24/7 essentially. And so we didn't pick based on size, meaning 800 square feet is much different than 3,000 square feet. So we've attached it to the use. And so in doing that, it's very much in the nature of a bar or alcohol establishment. So that was our reasoning, because the other way to look at it potentially is then it just becomes a de facto bar by a different name. That was our reasoning.
That makes sense. All right. Do you mind just going through those different uses just for the public and for my help? Just explain those different districts that were eliminated?
The different districts, sure. So the very first one is very tiny, I realize, but I was trying to put one row on there. So the first S that you see is MO, so that's medical office. That is in the medical district. Matter of fact, anytime in our zoning, in the table of uses, if you see an M, those are districts set aside for the medical district only. So you should not see a medical office zoning on Fire Tower Road, okay? You would just have an office zoning for a doctor's office. So that's why we took MO out. MCH, medical heavy commercial. So again, that was over in the medical area. We struck that. Mixed use institutional. So that would be along the lines of, we only have one area that's that zoning, and it's went by a couple of different names. It's the one south of 10th Street, west of Evans, and the name leaves me right now. But that is the kind of that's the zoning district. The other one, office residential, office multifamily, so that's why we pulled that. And then the other ones at the end, those last four, those are all industrial uses. So think industrial area.
Thank you for the explanation.
Sure.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Mary.
All right, any other questions?
If you can go back to the parking.
Any particular one, or from the beginning?
I can't remember the screen. Actually, the skating rink one would be good.
Okay.
So as it relates to the parking, I definitely understand what the goal is. How does that correlate with occupancy?
So the size of the building regulates occupancy.
Right.
So the more people, the bigger the building, and you still use the same multiplier, which is you're dividing it by 400 square feet of active space.
So using the skating rink for an example, their occupancy could far exceed what the parking requirements are. We're just going on the fact that we know that, or assume that most of the time people are not at full occupancy.
Sure.
And I'm saying this because there has been some public, I think we've all gotten emails about this. And then the golf course, par 3, driving range, miniature golf, and the like. I just want to elevate publicly, because we've had conversations behind the scenes that the citizens have not been privy to, because there is a concern that this was brought up in support of a particular venture in the community. And you guys know I'm come from the Keep It Real Corpsman and name names. It's a sorry, a fun part. Just want to elevate publicly that the conversation had been had before that was being talked about, and without that being considered. And just want to give you a chance to bring clarity to the fact that this was not done in support of any particular venture. for citizens.
As I said, this was meant to be a large omnibus, if you will, text amendment.
That's right.
So instead of bringing you 10 little ordinances, a couple at a month, like a little breadcrumb trail, I've tried to make it as condensed. And it was one of those where I looked at it and I thought, this doesn't sound right. If I do the math in my head, there's no way that makes sense. And went back to the old zoning ordinance, which, no longer applies. And I realized literally that we had gotten our numbers crisscrossed. And so that's why we're here to fix it, just like some of the other ones. Nothing more.
Yeah. In the keep it real corner, it was an error.
That's right. But I want citizens to be able to hear that, because, the perception sometimes can develop just because of timing.
Yes.
That something is another way.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it's just correcting a mistake.
And it's also important to note that these, as you did, these are minimum numbers, minimum standards. So
Sure.
a developer or business owner could go above these numbers if they saw fit for their type of
Certainly.
business. But these are minimum standards, which I think is important to keep those low, provide as many opportunities for business as possible.
All right. Any other comments?
I have a question. Could you go back to the security requirements for the bars?
Sure.
And what Councilmember Scully was talking about? Did I, if I read this correctly, that number does not apply until 11 o'clock and thereafter?
That's right. We're only talking after 11, and only if you have amplified entertainment. So not at noon while people are maybe having lunch and a beer. We're talking security personnel only on premises if you have amplified entertainment after 11. So if you close at midnight, that's 1 hour. I know that generally that kind of business would stay open till 2, but we're not talking around the clock just because they open their doors.
Can I ask a question about why that time was chosen, that after 11 or after? Is that because there's a perception that at that time perhaps there's more alcohol consumed and perhaps maybe more of a need for security? Or what, can you elaborate on why that time period is stated?
Sure. Our thought was, I remember being a student, I did not come down before 11 o'clock, right? That's when most students show up. So we were looking at when people are here.
Man.
I was wild, right? And we were also looking at the fact that it is alcohol. And then just the fact that typically when you're let's just say we're looking at downtown, for instance, then that's when you would have sort of a larger group of people, similar activity, right? About the time things probably kick up, and then they're probably going to end around 2 o'clock. So the reasoning was the timing, meaning it's not 9 o'clock. Maybe families are still enjoying themselves, or, just some adults going out, as opposed to when we start getting a little later. And I think you asked me another part, and I may have forgotten it.
I think you covered it, why
Okay.
11 o'clock was really chosen.
And I would add that, we have had a lot of conversations about alcohol establishments, a lot. And I think I've said in the past that, it's important to establish a benchmark, but that does not mean that the benchmark has to arbitrarily stay that way. We can continue to evaluate. That's just like we had talked about, let's get this passed and then bring back more information and then have consideration of council. But the bar 2022, we've already amended that once since it was originally established, and we'll continue to look at this and evaluate to see if changes need to be made.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Is there currently a security requirement outside of amplified noise for just bars and clubs?
No.
Okay. So starting at 11 would be the only, and if you have amplified noise, would be the only time the city would regulate the number of security personnel that you would need to have?
That's correct. Yes.
Is there a reason we went from 1 to 2 in the lower number? We took away that lower threshold?
We got ourselves crossed up with ratios, but then we also looked at Obviously, if you're downtown, most businesses do not have their own private parking lot. Those are city parking lots, and those are policed by Greenville Police. But we also had to look at it that these uses, let's just say a microbrewery, for instance, could be at the mall, it could be an out parcel. And again, it's applying only at night. And what would be an appropriate way of, again, after 11, vacating the building and then also getting people out of the parking lot? Sometimes there's more disruption in the parking lot than there actually is inside of the building. So that's, again, where we're trying to regulate, not over-regulate, but also try to put in some practical safety procedures as part. And again, you know, we were looking at these kinds of uses and their, I guess I would say, they're similar activities.
Who would enforce this?
Typically, we run on a complaint basis, right? So I would think that if someone called me up the next day and asked me about this, you know, we would see if we could find out. We would talk to the manager. Hey, I'm not sure if you know. We want to make you aware of this. But the other thing just to remember is this does not go back in time. This does not, what's the word I'm looking for? Apply. Right. It doesn't apply to previous uses. If this is approved tonight, it only applies for new businesses that start out today and go forward. So they don't, that's exactly right. So this isn't something that if you've been doing this for 5 years, you suddenly have a change.
And you know, even though I'm an accountant, I hate to do math on the fly. But, so we're talking 11 to 2, that's 3 hours time, you know, at $50 an hour. That's what, $300. I mean, come on.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much. Public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. That's good.
I know, that was good. That was good.
Seeing none, those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. First person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Open for a board discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve item number 10 with all the various changes and modifications, deletions, and additions.
Is that vague enough? Would you like a little bit more direction, or would you like any more?
I mean, I see it as,
There was quite a bit of discussion.
approve as presented.
What modifications are we making to this? I guess that would be the question for the motion.
The only one that I noted was the piece about the security personnel, bringing that back.
But approve everything else.
If that would be the will of the council.
Is that the understanding of the motion?
Yes, in light of Councilmember Scully's concerns, yes, that would be my motion to approve everything and to bring back the one about the number of officers for further comment and maybe education.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Councilmember Robinson. I think we could also do some public outreach to business owners just to see what their thoughts are as well. Wouldn't mind having that opportunity.
As part of that.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. So does anybody want to make a second that motion?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion, comments before we take a vote? Staff got a clear understanding of what the request is, or what the motion is, I should say?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
How about that? We have finished up our public hearings.
All right.
Now we'll move on to the other items of business. Item number 11.
Right, thank you, Mayor. Item number 11, presentation of the proposed fiscal year 2026, 2027 operating budgets for the Pitt Greenville Convention and Visitors Authority, Shepherd Memorial Library, and the Greenville Utilities Commission. We will begin tonight's presentations with the Greenville Convention and Visitors Authority, and I'll now call forward our president of the CVB, Andrew Schmidt, for the presentation.
This is the moment of the night where we start to lose all of our crowd. As they present, they're gone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, we're going to wait for the presentation to come up here in a second. There we go. All right. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm Andrew Schmidt. I'm president and CEO of Visit Greenville NC and Play Greenville NC Sports. Also have Rachel Witten, Vice President of Sales and Services, with us this evening. And I'm going to take about 10 minutes and just talk a little bit about our proposed budget. You should have our budget in your packet. You should have some budget highlights in your packet as well. And at the end, I'm happy to answer any questions. Just as a reminder, we're here to create a positive economic impact for Greenville and Pitt County. And once we bring those people here for whether it's conventions, meetings, family reunions, sports tournaments, we want to make sure that they have a unique experience while they're here. Studies show that if you have a positive experience in a destination, you're 80% likely to return, and that's what we want. I know you guys have seen this slide quite a bit during my tenure as CEO. But just as a reminder for those at home, lots of benefits to the travel and tourism industry. It's a clean money revenue source. It's a different type of money that comes in. It creates a positive local impact, supports our small businesses, creates jobs, retains jobs, destination exposure. That's one of my favorites, getting people here that have never been here before. So they can see all the great things happening in Greenville. Elevates destination profile, fuels growth of hospitality-related businesses we have seen downtown, and also community pride and resident involvement. Our 2024 numbers, 2025 numbers are not here yet, but in 2024, we generated $320 million in travel and tourism expenditures. That's a record for us. Over 2,100 people employed by the travel and tourism industry. You can see the state and local taxes generated, as well as savings per resident. So each resident paid $123 less in taxes because of the travel and tourism dollars that came in. Also, as a reminder, those dollars go to a lot of different places when they come into the community. You can see food and beverage, transportation, lodging, recreation, and retail. So those travel and tourism dollars really do support a variety of small businesses. And just the history, the last 3 years we've set records. In 2022, we set a record at $279 million. 2023 was $310 million, and 2024 was $320 million. So we continue to set records and increase travel and tourism expenditures into our area. This year's budget is crafted with a 3% increase in mind. And when I forecast our budgets and try to calculate, I always look at some research, and I wanted to share that research with you briefly. We look at 3 different things. We look at hotel travel trends, and we try to get a baseline of a couple years, up to 3 years to look at. And if you look at 2026 supply, and this is across the United States, and we kind of look at what we think is going to happen in Greenville and Pitt County. Supply is forecast to increase, demand's increased. Occupancy looks to be stable, and then those 2 down at the bottom, ADR, which is average daily rate, and RevPAR, which is revenue per available room, all slight increases, and we're seeing the same thing here. So that's good news for us to see those trends in a positive direction, and that makes us feel comfortable with forecasting an increase in occupancy tax. We look at the meetings and conventions industry. We have a great convention center here, and they are getting full for 2027 already, and that's a great sign. And we talk to a lot of our local meeting planners and statewide meeting planners, but national meeting planners also feel that the health of the meetings and conventions industry is very, very healthy. So they're very optimistic about not only holding meetings, but having attendees attend meetings. So that's something that we look at as well. And of course, the sports travel trends. That's a lot that we've been talking about here with our sports complex coming online. It is such a hot market. It's unbelievable how hot this market is. Look at the 2025 number. The forecast was $42.7 billion with a B, economic impact through youth, senior, and adult amateur travel. This is not professional sports. This is just youth travel and adult amateur and senior travel. They forecasted $42.7 billion for 2025. Takes a while for us to get our numbers, but we have the 2024 numbers. 2024 numbers were $47.1 billion, so we eclipsed even the forecast for 2025 and almost reached the 2026 numbers. So we're excited about the sports complex. We really feel like that's going to make a difference locally here for our travel and tourism industry. All right, so let's talk about our budget this year. Here are our revenue sources. We are funded by the hotel motel occupancy tax. Those are the individuals that stay in our hotels and motels. We are funded by Airbnb and OTC, which is online travel company reservations. Quick point about the Airbnbs. We, as the sports complex comes online, we feel like Airbnb use will actually increase here because the sports market has a lot of support travelers. It's not just the athlete that comes, especially in the youth sports. And if you have a whole family and grandmother, grandpa, people like that, they're looking at houses now so everybody can stay together. So we'll probably likely see an increase in Airbnb usage once the sports complex comes online. We do have money that we get from Capital Reserve that supports our sports commission efforts and Little League Softball World Series, and we are going to be using some fund balance this year as well. As I said, we presented our budget with a 3% increase. Currently, if you look at occupancy tax right now, it's at 2.65, so we're not at 3%. We had a tough time the last 2 weeks of January and the first week of February. We had winter weather events that canceled pretty much everything for 3 weeks. So we're a little bit behind. However, our spring looks incredibly strong. We still have 3 months of revenue to collect, and all of our hotels are doing extremely well. April is a great month. May is an incredible month, and we feel June is going to be a good month too. So we do see us going above that 3% threshold. We also know that the Airbnbs and online travel companies are continuing to increase the amount that they contribute as well. We have a new hotel property opening in the medical district. That's a Home2 Suites, either very late 2026 or early 2027. It won't have a huge impact on our numbers, but we'll have 4 or 5 months that I think we'll gain revenue from an extra hotel. So that'll help as well. And then I have a little asterisk down there. Our ARPA funding is exhausted. So in 2022, Pitt County gave us $600,000 because of the pandemic. I chose to string that out in 4 years with $150,000 in our budget from the ARPA funds each year, and we have used all of that as at the end of this fiscal year. So if you do some math and you're looking at our budget, you see a 3% increase, you see a little bit more from Capital Reserve, but our overall budget's only going up $40,000, and that's why, because we don't have that influx of ARPA funds for this year. So budget details, 26-27 budget is set at $2,265,000, 623 and a penny. Occupancy tax is responsible for 1.770 of that. Capital Reserve has been increased for the next couple of years, specifically to support the sports complex. We'll use some fund balance. I do have an asterisk on the fund balance. We're using $120,000 fund balance at 3%, but every percent that we go over that fund balance is about $18,000, just under $18,000. So we end up at 4%, 5%, 6%. That fund balance is going to go down dramatically. So we don't anticipate using all that, but when you have to have your budget with 3 months of revenue left, that's what we do as a placeholder. We are responsible for giving 1% of our 3% to the Greenville Convention Center, and that number keeps going up pretty healthily every year. And so this year's payment to Greenville Convention Center will be just under $600,000. And so our net budget, even though we have a 2.265, what we get at the CVB is 1.675. So that is our budget details. Operational versus personnel, we are always on a 2/3, 1/3 model. So 1/3 of the funding is for personnel and 2/3 for operations. So we feel comfortable with that. So what is our budget going to accomplish in the upcoming year? I'm very, very excited that we're going to be able to add on a sports sales and services specialist to help support the new sports complex. It is incredibly important that we're marketing now, which we're doing, but it's also incredibly important that when these tournament organizers try our complex for the first time, that not only they, but their athletes and the families have a great experience. So we're committed to doing that, and that's we're excited to be able to add another person to help us out with that. We're doing some cooperative marketing with the Recreation and Park staff, Don and his group. They've already gone to a few things with us to help us market the new complex. So they're giving us information and how we can help sell, and we're giving them information on how they can help sell. So it's nice to have them alongside for that effort. If you were at our Travel and Tourism Week luncheon, you saw just a little sneak peek of our new creative campaign. It's called Be Here Now. And so we'll be here now, we'll meet here now, we'll play here now. And that's being fine-tuned, but we're very excited about that. And we'll have some strong and diverse advertising and marketing outreach with that new campaign. So very excited about that. We want to continue to expand our advocacy efforts both locally and statewide. Had the privilege over this last year to sit on 4 statewide boards, and it makes a difference having that reputation, that representation up on those statewide boards. So we want to continue doing that, so we're excited about that. And then just our program of work. I could spend an hour with any of you talking about our program of work. We go through it. I would invite you to come and learn about our program of work. It's an excellent document that tells everyone how we go about accomplishing the goals that we have for the next year. And I'm happy to talk through that. I didn't think you guys wanted to do that tonight, so. But happy to do that at any point. But that's set by our staff and our board of directors as well. And then just a little bit about the Greenville Convention Center. As I said before, we are required through the interlocal agreement to give 1% of the occupancy tax receipts to GCC. And again, that budget for this next year is about $590,000. If they come in higher, if our numbers go 4% or 5% or 6%, they have the ability to go through a budget amendment and take that excess, or they can take it and put it in their marketing reserve. So they've got that option. We generate a monthly check for the convention center based on their expenditures for the past month, and they do have to have their budget approved by our CVA board. And I did want to take a moment and just recognize Matt and Les. Both of you guys have been serving on our board, and we really appreciate the input. Councilman Scully, I think your last meeting was February, January, and then Councilman Robinson came in and has been a big help, especially as we are setting some direction with the sports complex. So thank you to you both for all you've done for us at the CVA. So very short presentation, not a lot to it, but happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Just have a comment. Andrew's going to retire.
I was about to say that.
That's true.
And I'm heartbroken over that. I'm happy for you and your family. I saw the emotion at the luncheon, and you've done an awesome job
Thank you.
for us. And I hate to see you go. I wish you stayed, but I certainly understand it. But you've done an awesome job. And having seen some of the new campaign advertising, it's really edgy, and it's really trying to promote Greenville, and I'm excited about it. And if I remember correctly, we're 26 out of 100 counties.
Yes,
Is that right?
So at all those 100 counties, we're 26 in expenditures. So that's excellent when you look at who is ahead of us and why they're ahead of us. So with our comp set, our competitive set, we're right there with 1 and 2. So.
And I'll ditto that. Thank you very much for your service to our community.
Yeah.
You've been an incredible asset, and we're going to miss you a lot. So just thank you for your service, for your professionalism, and for the wonderful things, the growth that we've seen because of your leadership is just incredible. So thank you very much.
We're in good shape. We've got a great staff. They really get the credit. So it's who you surround yourself with. So
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate
And
that.
somebody hired those guys. So thank you for your leadership. You're awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions that I can answer?
I would also like to say congratulations to Andrew. For the last 10 years, we have been talking about a sports complex. Every time we would meet, we're going to make it happen, we're going to make it happen, and I'm so happy for you that you're able to retire knowing that we at least got the first phase going, and there's a clear vision to the second phase. So great work for everything that you've done.
Thank you. It will pay off, guys. There's no question about that.
We expect to see you there when it gets groundbreaking.
I'll take tickets. I'll do whatever you need. And I'm happy to do that. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll also reiterate everything that they had said too, and I'll note that I've got 2 daughters that are involved in tribal sports, and it's such a huge business, and I'm excited to be able to see us continue and bring this on in our community. And this last weekend we were in Walnut Creek up in Raleigh, and it was pretty neat to be able to see their complex that they have. It's a beautiful complex. They've done a nice job maintaining it, and they've got 9 fields there, and that thing was massive. I mean, it's a massive complex, and to think that we're going to have 12 diamond fields in our proposed phase 2 of our sports complex is pretty neat. And I have a lot of people at every tournament that we go to ask, when's Greenville's going to be done? And I keep telling them it's going to be soon, it's going to be soon. So I'm hoping that soon will be a reality, or really soon. So I'm excited. Thank you for your leadership. Thanks for everything that you guys do and continue to promote tourism to our area. I think when I first got elected, I didn't really understand all the different ways of deriving income to our area, and it's so important to know that we have a diversified economy, that it's not just heavily one sector. And I think that tourism is going to continue to grow as time goes on. And thank you for all the things that you've done over the years of leading that organization.
And thank you for your guys' support. So we appreciate that. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, our second budget presentation will be from Shepherd Memorial Library. I'll now call forward our chairman of Shepherd Memorial Library, Rick Smiley, and our director of Shepherd Memorial Library, Roman Leary, for the presentation.
You guys may have seen earlier this month, but the North Carolina Business Daily published their power list, the 500 most powerful, I guess, people in North Carolina, and Andrew was one of a handful of local folks on that list. I thought we shouldn't let him get out of here without congratulating him on that. Well done.
You were right above him, weren't you?
No.
I thought I saw that.
I'm Rick Smiley. I am the chair of the Shepherd Memorial Library Board. I try not to darken y'all's doorsteps too often, but rather than saying I'm glad to be back, let me just say I am deeply appreciative of every single one of you that you guys come here and do this. I know what it takes. I know what it costs you. It's in a time where it's not always easy to sleep at night when you think about who your elected officials are and what they might be doing. I sleep great knowing that you guys are out here doing the work of the city. Thank you very, very, very much. When I was doing the work you guys do, the most interesting and rewarding part of it was to, in fact, work with Shepherd Memorial Library. It's an incredibly cool place. The work they do is noble, and the value to the city and to the community is extraordinary. And so I know several of you have been there recently. I love doing the work. I've been talking to the staff about how cool City Council is, and when they heard we were going to be doing this presentation, several of them decided to come and to see just how exciting it was to do this. But the most important of them, well, the most prominent of them, the best dressed of them, is Roman Leary. He is, you guys saw him last year. He has been the director at Shepherd now for a couple years. He's doing an extraordinary job, and he is here to talk to you about our budget. Again, thank you so much for the work you do, and thank you for your support of Shepherd Library.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. I am Roman Leary, and I have the honor of serving as Director of Libraries for Shepherd Memorial Library System. On behalf of myself, our staff, and the Board of Trustees, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to appear before you to share our budget presentation for fiscal year 26-27. I would like to begin by sharing with you some interesting facts about SML from the 24-25 fiscal year. Last year, 248,255 people visited library facilities. 47,776 people in Greenville and Pitt County were active users of our libraries and bookmobile. Our patrons checked out 354,187 books. We provided 571 reading-centered programs with 13,051 participants. And our library staff answered 50,064 reference questions. For the upcoming fiscal year, we are requesting $1,574,404 from the city to support our general operations. This represents an increase of 4% over the prior fiscal year. This increase is intended to offset increases in costs due to inflation and matches the target from last year's budget request. In addition to this, we are presenting a capital request of $133,333 to start making facility improvements to the main library identified in our 10-year plan recently completed by the East Group. I will expand upon this presently. I will here draw your attention to the fact that in addition to the 4% we are requesting from the City of Greenville, we are also requesting a matching 4% increase from Pitt County, as well as increases from the county to support the Bethel and Winterville branches. Other items of note here include a minor increase in anticipated desk receipts. You will see that we planned for a significant decrease in those revenues in our current year. That is because we stopped charging overdue fines for children's materials. This resulted in a predictable reduction in revenues, but it is the opinion of the Board of Trustees that increase in quality of service was worth the expense. You will also note a minor decrease in projected interest revenue. We anticipate this based on monies we have already applied and expect to continue utilizing from our reserve funds toward capital improvements. And speaking of capital improvements, I am happy to report that our long-in-the-works HVAC project is now complete, and the necessary renovation of our elevators is in progress. Thank you again for the generous and vital support that you provided to us on these projects. You will see here that in addition to the $133,333 we have requested from you, we are also asking $66,667 from Pitt County, a total of $200,000 divided into the traditional 2/3, 1/3 funding formula followed by our two main local partners. With regard to personnel expenditures, you will note that we are budgeting a 4% market merit increase over last year. We typically follow the city's lead concerning the exact breakdown between market and merit of that sum, and if our request is granted, that is our plan for the upcoming year. Operating expenditures. Here you will note a significant increase in the amount we have allocated to building maintenance. Again, this represents monies we intend to apply from our operational budget to phase 1 of our 10-year plan. It is also worth noting that this budget includes an almost 8% increase in funding for books. Finally, what is all this capital money going toward? Well, in addition to identifying the capital needs of the main library, the East Group broke down the recommended projects into 3 phases, ordered in terms of necessity, to create the aforementioned 10-year plan to make needed repairs to the facility. It is our intention over the course of the next decade to not only address these various and sundry structural improvements, but also to complete several high-profile public-facing projects, including but not limited to a complete remodel of our public restrooms, a renewal of our parking lot, and an expansion of our children's area. It is our sincere hope that many, perhaps even most, of these projects will be completed prior to our centennial in 2030. This upcoming fiscal year will inaugurate the beginning of this process, which will be long and expensive, but I promise you represents an investment that will pay dividends for many decades to come. Also, as I referenced earlier, I can assure you that the SML Board of Trustees is prepared not only to seek financial support from various philanthropic entities to support these endeavors, but also to apply our own reserve funds to further this cause. The library needs your help to make all this happen, but we are more than a supplicant in this matter. We are your partner. And that is the conclusion of our presentation. As it states here, thank you, seriously, thank you all for your ongoing support of library services to the citizens of Greenville and Pitt County. And Rick will be glad to answer any questions you may have.
That's great.
Thank you.
You know, so this is, I think this is my 11th year sitting up here. And one of the things I always enjoyed the most was getting the presentation about Shepherd Memorial Library and talking about your budget and how well it's run and how efficient everything is over there. And then I always knew that GUC was right after it.
Thank you to my colleagues from GUC.
You got all the accolades, and then it all rolled downhill, right, Tony? Thank you for all that you do. We appreciate it. We appreciate how efficient you run the library. We appreciate the board and all that they do to continue to grow Shepherd Memorial Library and getting kids engaged, also reading at a young age, and all the programs that you provide. It's instrumental to our city, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Leary, I had the opportunity to go to the Winterville branch today. We returned some books, and my daughter was so proud to whip out her own library card and check out her own books for the next couple of weeks or so. So thank you for all that you do, and I appreciate the ex-nay on the late fees for the kids' books.
It was my pleasure.
That helps.
Thank you. I've had my Energizer Bunny batteries in over the last several months, so I haven't been able to get back over to visit you, but I'm coming.
I'm looking forward to it.
But I enjoyed the fact that you do your presentation in story format.
I didn't know
So
that.
I love your voice when you're doing your presentation. It made me want to rest my chin on my hand. The inflections in your voice at certain points and everything made it sound like a good story. So
It is a good story. It's the best story. And I'm ready to tell it to all of you anytime. Come and see me.
Hey, Tony, that's all you got to do.
That's right.
Inflection. That's the word, inflection.
So, but I do appreciate all that you all do.
Thank you so
And look
much.
forward to continue to work with you to bring more to the
Thank you.
community. Thank you.
And we are appreciative of you. I mean
And
that.
expanding the
Thank you.
basement.
I also wanted to add, Mr. Leary, the bookmobile has been able to go out to Farrington Trace twice, and so they really have enjoyed having the bookmobile come out. And you and I talked about the
Yes.
accessibility, them wanting to have a book club, and so being able to have something that goes to them has really worked for that community.
Wonderful.
So
Thank you.
we're on the right track.
Excellent.
All right.
And I'll just add, just in case Rick and Roman were not watching our budget presentation on Monday night in the privacy of their own home, your request is included in our proposed budget, as requested.
Thank you.
Look at that. Just good feeling all around.
Telling you, can't get any better than that.
Would you like me to do yours too?
Hey, please read it. Please read it.
He's bringing it. He's bringing it right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leary.
Well, with that being said, our next presentation is from Greenville Utilities Commission. I'll now call forward our General Manager of Greenville Utilities, Tony Cannon, for the presentation.
Excuse me just a second, let me get ready.
Hey.
Listen, this is 20 years for me following a hug fest, and seldom do I get the same accolades that we get from here. So
Take notes. You got your voice, inflection. That was the word, inflection.
I'm here to talk with you about the Greenville Utilities budget.
I
can't do it.
I like it. I like it.
I'll try, but I can't do it. No, thank you very much for letting us come over here and talk with you about our budget, about some of the challenges that we see and some of the opportunities that we see as well, and how we propose to go about doing that. We are one of two state chartered utilities. We're chartered by the General Assembly in North Carolina. We started business in 1905. Today, we serve about 176,000 connections here in Pitt County and the surrounding counties where we sell wholesale water and other services to. And we're up over 76,000 electric customers right now, which makes us the 43rd largest public utility in the country. And that's done with 518 employees. So we have tried to squeeze efficiencies everywhere we can. We have an 8-member board. You appoint all 8 members to the board. 5 of these are required to come from within the city. They have to be customers of Greenville Utilities. They are appointed in a random order by council members and then appointed by the entire council. The city manager is a full voting member of our board per the charter, and then 2 members are nominated by the county commissioners. They must be residents of Pitt County outside the city of Greenville, but customers of Greenville Utilities as well. The charter does require some diverse backgrounds on there, and I'm happy to say that we've got some really good commissioners right now with a very diverse background, and they bring that to the table to do the business of these citizens and of our customers every single month. The board is responsible for the entire control, supervision, and maintenance, operation, extension of the utilities, and approving the rates. And then they hire me, and I have the opportunity to work with a very professional staff that does an outstanding job day in and day out. And they're recognized not only here for what they do in Greenville and Pitt County in North Carolina, but throughout the nation for what they do. And I couldn't be more proud of the team that we have at Greenville Utilities. And with that, I want to thank you for your support of our employees through the benefits and through the pay. So thank you very much for what you do for the employees of the city and the employees of the utility. This is a map showing all of our service areas. The green in the center of the map is the corporate limits of Greenville. A lot of our customers are outside the corporate limits, thus that's why the county nominates a couple of folks to sit on our board. But we serve wholesale water in Greene County, most of Pitt County. We serve retail services in Winterville, Ayden, Farmville, Stokes. Now Bethel is actually part of our system. We took over the ownership of their system a few years ago and able to reduce their rates and get very competitive there. And we serve about 75% of Pitt County, 75% of the customers in Pitt County with electricity. So we're very much a rural provider. We're the largest rural water system in the county. I want to talk with you a little bit about what drives our budget. And of course, as always, and I'm going to ask Jeff McCauley, who's our CFO, to come up and go through the numbers with you in just a few minutes, but it's always purchase commodities. Purchase gas, purchase power are two main drivers of our budget. We're out in the market every day, multiple times a day, purchasing natural gas. We have to schedule that daily and balance it daily. But we're also out in the electric markets as well. We purchase our power through the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Agency with a wholesale power supply contract. That contract runs through 2035. And all the power that we purchase comes through there with the exception of a small amount that we purchase from the Southeastern Power Administration, which manages hydro dams. We entered into a contract years ago with them. It's a very small percentage of our power. Really, all of the power that we purchase comes through the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Agency, and that comes from Duke Energy's generation and transmission. Infrastructure repair and replacement, I don't have to tell you guys, you're doing projects all the time. You know that the cost of putting infrastructure in has gone absolutely crazy. Right now, when we go to buy a power station transformer, we're paying 3 times what we were paying 5 years ago, and it's taken 3 or 4 times as long to get it. We're still having some supply chain issues, particularly on the power and the natural gas side, but the costs are really hurting us as well. And I will tell you, you can look around at communities around us who have not faced the challenges that they have to face, and they've not made the investments that they have to make because of various reasons. But when you get behind, the rate increases you have to have in order to keep up and to catch up are monumental. We try to avoid that. We try to stay at the right place on the infrastructure curve. That right place continues to move. It continues to shift. When we talk with our economic development folks, they tell us that the number one thing that companies are looking for right now is speed to market. Speed to market, labor. And one of the things that drives speed to market is energy availability. I will tell you with all certainty, if we had not had available capacity that we could serve the needs for Boviet and for NEPRO, they would not be in Greenville. We're not that good, but we do know that we have to have capacity available if we want to grow. And there's only 2 ways that we can prevent having to burden our customers, and it's growth and efficiencies. We've taken a lot of efficiencies. We're doing a lot of work with the same number of employees that we've had for a long time. Growing is the way that we want to do it. And that's why we invest in Invest Greenville and that public-private partnership. That's why we push so hard for that. That's also why we invest in our infrastructure and make sure that when these folks come calling and they're bringing opportunities for the citizens that live here in Greenville and in Pitt County, that we're not the holdup. We do not want Greenville Utilities to be the holdup. We want to have our stuff in place or in a place to where we can be to market as fast as they can. So you will see that. You will see that we are building projects that add capacity, that increase the footprint of the utility some. That is to provide opportunities for the future. May not help us out today, may not help us out tomorrow, but I will promise you that these investments that we're making will be very good for this community years to come. Debt service continues to increase because we have to continue to invest in the system. We do, and Jeff's going to talk about this when he goes over our long-term planning with you, but we strive very hard to have a balance between what we pay from cash and what we pay from debt. It's very important that the customers today pay their fair share, but that they're not burdening what we need for the future, and that the customers in the future are paying their fair share as well. And we do that by issuing debt to build infrastructure so that the users of that infrastructure are paying a fair share as we go forward. Regulatory compliance is another big area. We talked last year with you a little bit about PFAS and PFOS on the water system. We have found a way to deal with that. It's going to cost us about $2 million a year in ongoing maintenance cost on the water system. We're lucky. We're very lucky that we don't have to go in and do a large capital project. The new side of the plant that we did is operating extremely well in removing PFAS. What the old side of the plant, what we have discovered is that if we change out our filter media, we're able to do it through changing the filter media. So we've got a program now where we're going to change 2 filters a year, every year going forward, and that will keep us in compliance with the detection limits on PFAS. And then, of course, expanding the physical plants. You've approved a lot of expansions here lately. We've expanded our water plant. We've expanded our electric plant by adding 2 points of delivery to our electric transmission system. We're replacing our poles. We're doing a lot of expansion on the system. Our LNG plant just got expanded with new storage tanks that saved us almost $6 million during this cold spell that we had this last winter. These investments pay off. Some of it's long-term, some of it's a little quicker, like we just saw with the LNG plant. But we know that particularly on the electric side that there are some real cost drivers that we're going to have to deal with. Low growth being one of them. We were talking just today, I think most of you actually had an opportunity to participate in our strategic planning that we're doing right now. And we had a planning session today, and we were talking about load growth. It used to be we would get really excited if we had a potential customer that could come in here that would be 3 to 5 megawatts. That was a great load. Right now we're looking at, you got to have 50 megawatts out of the gate. You got to be able to go to 100, 150 megawatts. And this is for manufacturing facilities. I'm not talking about data facilities. Advanced manufacturing now uses a lot of electricity. So we have to be prepared. We have to make those investments. We have to make that ahead of time. We have to make sure that there's adequate generation. We know what Duke has filed with the North Carolina Utilities Commission. We've been following that closely for the last several years. And we know what that's going to do to our rates. I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes. We did make some headway this year with decarbonization. If you'll recall, last year I was talking with you about House Bill 951 and the interim goal that was in that was really driving a lot of cost in the front years. Working with our partners in the General Assembly, we were able to eliminate that 2030 requirement. The 2050 requirement for 100% reduction is still there. This gives us a little landing room that technology can develop, that time will allow us to see what's out there and really what the needs are as we move towards 2050. But there's still a cost associated with that. I've already talked about supply chain constraints, and our friends earlier talked about the impacts of inflation. We've got inflation right now, just like the city. We're getting hit really hard with fuel costs. When you run a fleet of 500 vehicles or 1,000 vehicles, this really is it's a real cost when your costs throughout the year are double what you had budgeted. So we're feeling that love right there as well. We're not the only ones in this boat. I thought it was real important for you to see some of the headlines that have been in our newspaper, in our local papers, in our local news. It's not just us. It is all of our utility friends that are in this situation. We're talking here mostly about electric, but trust me, it's all for utilities. I'm going to show you a little bit of that. But look what has happened over the last 5 years. This is the average cost per kilowatt hour of electricity in the United States. It has gone from 14.92 cents in 2022, which is high. We're somewhere between 10 and 11 cents, to 18.5 cents, 21% over 5 years. That seems like a lot. That is a lot. Based on what the demands are, I would say that we're going to see some of this continue for the next several years, because we've got to build the generation, the distribution system, and the transmission system to handle this. And consumption continues to go up. I just got through talking about this. We're seeing it go up. What we're seeing right now, what we are seeing in the electric utility industry from 25 out through 30 is about 3.5% growth. That is unprecedented. But when you look at the data centers, when you look at electric vehicles, when you look at the electrification of the manufacturing processes, it takes a lot of power to do that. And if we want to stay competitive in the global economy, this country has to do that. We have to make the investments, and we have to do it in a way that is the least painful to our customers, and that is what becomes challenging sometimes. We expect, based on the plan that Duke filed with the North Carolina Utilities Commission, that our wholesale cost will increase somewhere between 4.5% and 5.5% for the next 4 years, and following that, 2 to 4% per year, 2.5% to 3.5% per year over the average, all the way through 2038. So we've got to be creative. We've got to come up with other ways to do things. One thing that will help us, as it says in this last slide right here, we have been in negotiations with Duke now for 2 years about this one utility. They're wanting to combine Duke Energy Progress with Duke Energy Carolinas. They had to get approvals from both the North Carolina Utility Commission and the South Carolina Utility Commission. They received those on May 1st. So they're marching down the road now to get to January of 27, where they will combine the utilities. The benefit to us is they're combining all of their dispatch generation. So right now we get electricity generated from Sharon, Harris, and Brunswick, which were the legacy Progress Energy plants. That's what we get ours from. We get energy from some coal plants. We get energy from hydro and from solar. This will include all of Duke's hydro that they have, all of their nuclear that they have, many more nuclear plants. Duke has now the largest nuclear fleet in the country. That is really going to help us with base load power. So we're not sure yet exactly what the benefits of this will be to us, because we're still negotiating with Duke about what that's going to look like. But we believe it has the opportunity to help us ease up on this 2.5% to 3.5% per year that we're seeing on our wholesale power cost. More to come on that. We're not there yet. It's probably going to take a couple of years to get there, but we're working in that direction. Knowing what the Power Agency has told us they're forecasting for the next 4 years, you can see that right there. This is the wholesale power cost increases that we're going to be getting from the Power Agency coming from Duke. That doesn't translate percent for percent into our rates. So the 4.5% that you see on 4/1/26, which is reflected in our 27 budget here, that's 1.9% to the base rate. That is what we need to operate the system. That's the increase we're looking at in 27. That 4.5% translates into 1.9% next year on the energy and capacity cost, which flows through our purchase power adjustment for a total of 3.8% that it looks like it will impact the bills. We have also had true-ups that we've had to deal with. You've known about this as well. We've been very open with customers about what we're dealing with here. These roll on, they roll off. I wanted to give you an example of what this looks like using the riders that we have. So from July 1 of 25 to March of 26, our typical bill was $124.34. On April 1st, we had a purchase power adjustment of 4.5%, which is $1.74 that you see over there just above that. We had a new debt service release rider come on, and it's 55 cents. I want to explain that to you. Jeff's going to talk about that a little bit. Mayor, you'll recall you and I had some discussions years ago about the rate stabilization fund, and there was a certain mayor, council member then that was not real happy with it, but it has worked. So we had our rate stabilization fund, which we knew we would use up until 2015. In 2025, in July of 2025, we had our debt roll off, our defeasance debt that we had to issue in order to sell the assets back in 2015. We had to put some debt service reserve money out there. For us, it was $5.7 million, I believe is what we had out there. We got that money back in July of last year. We knew we were going to have another purchase power adjustment this year based on what the costs were in 24. So we took half of that money, We've got it in this year. We transferred half of that out to rate stabilization so that we could then use that money next year, $3.5 million, to offset some of those true-ups that we had coming to get this as low as 55 cents. And then also at the end of March 31st of 26, Rider 122 ended, that's worth $3.59. So as of April 1st, the bills actually went down $1.30 based on typical bill consumption. So they're working exactly the way we designed, the way they're supposed to work. And it's moving money in and moving money out so that we're able to better manage rates. Like I said, power's not the only one. I mentioned gasoline, but when you talk about petrochemicals in general, it affects our cost of chemicals that we have to have at the water plant. These are the chemicals that we use at our water treatment plant, and you can see that the global chemical market for these particular chemicals has increased from $38.9 billion in 24 to 44.8, well, 42.7 this year. And you can see what the projection is going forward. That is an ongoing cost because we have to have these chemicals in order to treat the water to make it safe to consume. Natural gas, I mentioned the use of the rate stabilization fund in natural gas earlier. When we got into our January to February, Jeff's going to talk about that. You approved our budget amendment so we wouldn't be in violation a couple of months ago on the natural gas side. We purchased about $6 million more worth of gas in a period this year than we had anticipated. We don't think we're going to have to go back and get that back from our customers. We're having some pretty good performance, and we've really clamped down on expenditures towards the end of the year here to try and get to the end of the year so we don't have to use the entire $2.5 million out of rate stabilization, which will allow us to build that back up quicker. Because we're going to have more spikes like this as demand for energy continues in this country. We can count on it. So we need to do everything we can to prepare for it. Moving on to our proposed budget, one thing we always do is we start with our mission statement. We spent a lot of time on this mission statement the last several months, and I think it's still very relevant. And we want to provide safe utilities, the best, reliable, best customer service at the lowest reasonable cost, and we want to do it in an environmentally responsible manner. I don't think you're going to see a lot of change there. But it takes effort, it takes money to do this. So we are going to have some rate increases this year. Right now, and we don't anticipate this changing, it looks like for electric customers about $2.34 would be the increase in the monthly bill. For water, we're looking about $1.46, sewer $1.98, and gas $4.41. So for the 5,000 customers that we have that have all four utilities, and I think that's about right, out of 176,000 connections, 20,000 of them have all four utilities. Out of that, it's $10.19 for everyone that has all four utilities. I don't know if you've been to McDonald's lately, but if you go and you buy a Big Mac meal at McDonald's, it's more than $10. Hopefully your utility service is worth a little more than a Big Mac meal per month, but I know it's a challenge. Listen, we wrung our hands, and Mr. Cowan and Mr. Robinson will tell you this is not something that we take lightly, and we have been meeting with our finance committee and going through this since January. We think we've turned over all the rocks we can. We're not unlike any other business. Our costs continue to increase, and the demand never slows down. So we have to make sure that we're covering it. We have to make sure that we're reinvesting in the utility, and that we have the money available in case there's emergencies. A hurricane used to cost us a couple of $1 million. We could manage a hurricane like Irene. I think Irene was probably the most expensive hurricane we've had since I've been here as far as damage. Help me out. It was about $6 million, $7 million for us to get through Irene. Today, Irene would cost us probably $15 million. That's the order of magnitude for which things have increased. Our inventory, our standing inventory that we keep, was $8 million. For years and years and years, it was $8 million. Right now, our inventory is running at $20 million. We have to have it. You would not let us be up here doing this budget presentation next year if we get into the summer and we don't have the materials and the people and the equipment that we need to get things done, and if we have not made the investments in the system so that our customers can continue with their way of life. So this is not easy, this is not fun, this is not what we want to do. Trust me. Sometimes this is necessary. I want to ask Jeff to step up here, and he's going to go through the numbers with you real quick, and then I want to come back and talk with you about how we compare to everybody as far as our rates.
Thank you, Tony, and good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Greenville Utilities' recommended budget for fiscal year 26-27 is approximately $330 million. On the revenue side of the house, charges for services represent over $316 million of our revenue. On the expenditure side of the house, purchase power and purchase gas are our largest budgetary expenditure, over 50%, followed by operations, capital outlay, debt service, and turnover to the city. At the end of the fiscal year, we're projected to have a positive fund equity of approximately $650,000. All four funds are balanced, and as you can see, our margins are really tight. Our key performance indicators continue to remain solid, supporting our strong AA credit ratings. The reason that's important is it helps us market our bonds. It provides us low interest rates on the borrowings for the investments in infrastructure, which lower the debt service payments, and also help keep our rates low as possible for our customers. This next slide provides a snapshot of the Electric Rate Stabilization Fund, provides a little bit of historical information, and also a forecast through 2031, which is our 5-year long-term forecast. As you'll see, in fiscal year 21-22 from fiscal year 24-25, we actually utilized $14.1 million of the Rate Stabilization Fund to help keep our rates low for our customers. As Tony mentioned earlier, we do have a fuel service charge, and we're actually transferring out $3.5 million to the Electric Rate Stabilization Fund this year. So that's why you see the increase to 14.5. Next fiscal year coming, we're using $3.5 million to offset the fuel surcharge that we have to pay in that fiscal year. Once again, the Rate Stabilization Fund is performing as designed, mitigating rate spikes and helping to keep our rates low for our customers. This is a similar illustration of the Gas Rate Stabilization Fund, and the crosshatch gray area that you see beginning in 24-25, that is where we may have to use appropriated rate stabilization transfer back down to the gas fund. But right now, as Tony mentioned, we're currently monitoring that, and if we don't have to use it, we won't, but we have it in place, once again, to keep our rates low for our customers and not have to pass that spike we had in the winter on rates. Key provisions in our proposed budget include the annual turnover to the city. We're continuing to support economic development as a sustaining member with the Invest in Greenville, and we're supporting the city's energy efficiency partnership. Additionally, we're also making substantial investments in infrastructure which are necessary to maintain the reliability and sustainability of our systems. We're also making sure that we're taking care of our most valuable asset, our employees. We have funding of 3.25% merit market adjustment, a 1% increase in the 401k contribution, and continuation of health and dental benefits. All three of these items were approved by the GUC Board of Commissioners and the City Council. Additionally, we're also providing funding for succession planning. As we have retirements, we want to make sure that we take advantage and have that knowledge transfer to ensure that we have smooth operations and reliable operations when somebody retires. We'll now transition over to our long-term financial forecast. In preparing the long-term financial forecast, we use conservative assumptions, especially on the revenue side of the house, because we want to make sure that our revenues cover the anticipated budgetary expenditures. Additionally, we also want to make sure that our key performance indicators still support those AA credit ratings. This next slide has a lot of information on it. We'll focus on the areas highlighted in green. As you can see, over the 5-year period, we have a projected surplus over those 5 years. Once again, those margins are really tight. However, our key performance indicators continue to remain sound, supporting that AA credit ratings. And we also do have moderate rate increases forecasted for all 5 years. Those rate adjustments are necessary to maintain the reliability and sustainability of the systems. The long-term forecast also supports our 5-year capital improvement plan. It's currently $295 million, and as Tony mentioned previously, we have a delicate balance there where we're funding it through debt and also cash. This is a listing of our largest 10 capital projects. They total $139 million and represent 47% of the 5-year capital improvement plan. These are the capital improvement projects scheduled to be adopted with the 26-27 budget. They total $19.8 million, and they provide renewables and replacements. They increase capacity, they help increase efficiencies, and they also support economic development. And Tony will now provide a little bit more information.
I don't think what happened this last winter escaped any of us as far as cost and the challenges that we faced in the winter, but what we wanted to show you was, if you lived in Raleigh or Fayetteville during January, our average consumption in January, our average consumption for electric is normally 1,000 kilowatt hours a month. In January, we were fairly mild at the first of the month. And then it got cold, and our consumption went up from 1,000 to 1,214. So if you were in Raleigh, that 1,214 kilowatt hours would cost you $184.37. And these are published rates. We pulled these published rates. Fayetteville, $154.77, and in Greenville, $147.23. February was a little worse. Actually, February was a lot worse. That was the highest bill, personally, I've ever had, was my February bill. $229 in Raleigh, $189 in Fayetteville, and $183 in Greenville. So our citizens fared better than they would have if they had lived in one of those neighboring communities. Same on the gas side, except Raleigh. Raleigh is now served by a company called Enbridge Gas. It's formerly PSNC of North Carolina. I don't know if you guys remember PSNC. It was a family-owned company in North Carolina and had very competitive rates. But here again, we are in very good shape when it comes to our comparisons. Looking at the 15 largest municipalities in North Carolina, you can see that our current and our proposed rates are slightly above Gastonia and Concord. I will tell you that we have talked to the managers in Gastonia and Concord, and they're both going to have rate increases with their budgets this year as well. When you look at big box grocery stores or a Walmart or something like that, we're at the very bottom there. And on pharmaceutical manufacturing companies, here again, right now it's showing our proposed rate a little bit higher than Concord and Fayetteville. We know that that's likely going to change. I wanted to show you this chart. I can't think of anything in my life except long distance charges that are cheaper now than they were 15 years ago. When you look at our electric bills, just our electric costs, that's what we get beat up on more than anything else. I don't care if it's a customer that don't even have electricity with us, they like to complain about it. In 2011, January 1st of 2011, the bill was $125.54. Our proposed rate for January 1st of this year is $125.38. It's based on 1,000 kilowatt hours. I'm open to hear what else has gone like that over the last 15 years, but I just can't think of it. It's a lot of luck, but it's a lot of good work as well. We were able to sell the assets in 2015, and you'll see there, we reduced rates 3 times from 2015. The first 2 reductions, We're not the full reduction that we got in 2015. We wanted to build the rate stabilization fund with a goal. Mr. Mayor, I said 5 years. Remember I sat up here and I told you, if you let us do the rate stabilization fund, we can make it 5 years without having to have a rate increase. You can see what we did there. It worked exactly as we designed it. And we knew that the last few years would be a big drawdown headed into 2025 when the defeasance debt rolled off. We planned that the entire time. So a little bit of luck and a little bit of planning go a long way, but it worked as designed, so I'm pretty proud of that. The guys have worked really hard on this budget, the team has, and I'm really pleased with what they've done. Like I said earlier, I can't brag about our team enough. I work with a solid group of professionals, and they do their best for their customers and for our customers and for our citizens every single day. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. You will, at your next meeting, I think the public hearing is at the next meeting, and maybe review of the budget at the next meeting, but also you'll have our budget amendments. We typically do our budget amendments once a year. This year we had to step out of that for the gas, because if we had waited until this May meeting to do our gas, we would have been in violation of our budget ordinance, which would have been an audit violation, and we don't want that. So we ask you to do that then. We'll probably clean a lot of that up with our revenues, but we should be in compliance. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about the budget or anything else regarding Greenville Utilities.
Yeah, that was a good point regarding Greenville Utilities. I was going to ask you something else.
Yeah, you can ask me anything. I'll give you an answer.
I was trying to think of something. I think TVs might have been cheaper back then. You can buy TVs pretty cheap now.
I said, oh, TVs are way cheaper now.
It took me a while to think of something, though.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon, for your presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
The slide that you showed of the other utility companies that have, that provide utilities,
That one.
do they have programs for low-income families that we could model after to help low-income families be able to subsidize or pay their bills, any kind of help with utilities that we could model after?
Thank you for asking that, because I had them pull some information together for him. And the answer is probably.
Okay.
But we have several programs in place, and I wanted to give you some of the results of what our programs have done over this last heating season. Through the Department of Social Services, who is our partner that we deal with mostly when it comes to helping folks who need help. There were Department of Social Services 3,899 accounts paid in the total of $752,659. Through the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, Heating Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, it's a federal program. We helped 2,510 customers in the amount of $919,400. And then through other organizations such as Catholic Charities, Anointed Ones, several others, we've got a dozen of them here, 244 payments totaling almost $56,000, $55,904. In the last 3 months, outside of that funding, we issue extensions and we do payment plans for customers. And we typically will do a certain number of per year for a customer. This year we decided this is too difficult. In the winter, we're going to do more. So for the last 3 months, we did 5,203 extensions totaling $1.7 million. And for the last 12 months, May of 25 through April of 26, 17,403 extensions totaling nearly $5 million, $4.95 million. In addition, we did payment arrangements. So the last 3 months, we did 1,790 payment arrangements totaling $35,000. Within the last 12 months, we had 6,080 payment arrangements totaling $79,253. Outside of that, we had 264 individuals contribute to our neighbor-to-neighbor program, with the largest contribution coming from First Presbyterian. All of this was administered by DSS, Greenville Utilities put $20,000 in it for a total of $42,492.
Do you have like a quota that you aim to meet yearly, or is it on a need basis as the needs come in?
It depends a lot on the funding that's available. We can do extensions and payment plans through the utility. The funding has to be available through these other organizations, and I will tell you right now, it's really important, and I have written letters within the last week. The President's budget does not include low-income heating energy assistance program. That's not unusual. It's typically not included in a first round of a budget. Utilities like us, I know Duke does it, Progress used to do it, Dominion will, a lot of the municipalities do. We put on the pretty hard grassroots effort there to make sure that that gets put back in the budget, because we just have, as I just told you, we depend on that, our customers depend on that too much.
What more do you feel like Greenville Utilities can do to help individuals who find themselves in those situations or those spaces where they're not able to afford their utilities bills as things tend to creep upward?
I'm not sure. We try to keep people from getting too far in the hole. It's easy to say, okay, and I will tell you, our bad debt runs around $600,000 a year in that neighborhood.
You said your bad debt?
Bad debts, so we write it off. A lot of that's offset through some of the programs that the state has that we participate in, through some of the payment plans that we set up. We can mitigate some of that. I'm not sure what else we can do, but we're more than willing to take a look at it. One of the focus groups that we brought together for this strategic planning was folks who help with some of the lower income folks who struggle sometimes. We've all been there. I mean, it's not, we've all had to ask for a helping hand at some point. There's no shame in ever doing that. One of the things that I think we should and will do going forward is meet on a more regular basis with those organizations, because they do bring fresh ideas. Councilmember Foreman had an employee that was there that was very active in those discussions, and I think we realized they may need a little more than what we're doing, and I think they realized we're doing a whole lot more than what they thought we were doing. So we're certainly open to ideas. What we can't do and what we have to be real careful about is subsidizing customers or letting them get too far behind.
We've already met and had some conversations. I'm going to reiterate some of that just so that we can talk about it publicly. You know that my biggest concern has been the rate increase, and to just kind of elevate everything, I want to go over the who, what, when, where, how, and the why. So we know who. There's all of the people that you serve around the county. And that was demonstrated in the map that you showed us in your presentation. The what is the rate increase. The when will it go? When is that proposed to go into effect?
July 1.
July 1. I know that we've talked about where we feel like the impact will be hit the most. And if you can go back to the slide, or someone can go back to the slide where the rate increase is, the average of the total of all the rate increases come to about $10.19 per month. But we know that the section, and we talk about it regularly, that about 25% of our community make $25,000 or less. And the section of our community that tends to take the brunt of any increases are, the lower income and in West Greenville, South Greenville, and some north of the river, partly because homes are less energy efficient. So even though that average is $10.19, that would be more because it is an average, that would be more for a certain segment of our population. And even though the city's experiencing inflation, and GUC is experiencing inflation. Every single one of our citizens are experiencing inflation. So, food is higher, utilities are higher because we had an increase last year. When I went to put gas in my car the other day, I was like, wow, wasn't a ham sandwich. And so, being hit with all of these things and another rate increase, every penny counts. I want to talk about again how it compares to other municipalities surrounding us. And going back to that slide, because that I know that the rate increase we're experiencing is less than what is being experienced around us. And
It is because we didn't kick the can down the road
right,
like some others did.
Right. And explaining why, getting to the why the increase is happening. If you can talk a little bit about the fact that Duke is charging you all more, and I don't want to take that over. I just, we've gone through a lot of information, so if we could just kind of put what I know, the meat of what people really, really want to hear in that who, what, when, where, how, and why conversation. And so
I think I tried to cover most of that. I went back to this slide. This is our wholesale power cost on this very top line right here, what we know we're going to be having the increases. And that's the translation on the very bottom line down there, including what we see as base rate increases for things such as capital improvements, interest rates, investments, vehicles, fuel, chemicals, all of that is in our base rate. So that's the total impact, including everything that we are forecasting right now. As I mentioned, I think there will be opportunities with one utility when Duke combines Duke Energy Progress, Duke Energy Carolinas, for us to get some benefit for our customers and hopefully impact this rate trajectory. This is not sustainable. Believe me, we've had a lot of these discussions. This is not something that we can fix, that you can fix as a council or we can fix as a utility. It is something that we have to fix as an industry and as a nation to make sure that it's affordable, but also make sure that we're not getting left behind. It's a balancing act. I don't envy your position at all. You guys are having to deal with police, fire, public works. You're dealing with a utility of your own in stormwater. None of that's getting cheaper. It's all getting more difficult, and it's all getting more necessary for us to remain competitive and be something that people want to come to.
No, and I think it's important that from that chart right there to understand that you can, if you decide not to quote unquote pass it along in any given year, it doesn't go away. It just gets shifted to the next year.
Right.
So the further you go is we call it a funding cliff. At some point in time, you're going to fall off the funding cliff because that's going to compound, and at some point in time, the rubber's going to have to hit the road.
It does.
Because you've got to invest in your capital, because if you don't invest in your capital, you're going to have inefficient systems in the future as well.
And we won't be taking advantage of the technology that's out there.
And so what you're saying is that you're having increments of increase so that you do not have to hit people really, really hard at one time. So
that's why
put that in layman's terms.
We spend a tremendous amount of time. Everybody at home's going to get a headache from me flipping by so fast. I apologize. We spend a tremendous amount of time on this long-term planning. We're showing you some summary sheets here. We go out, you're seeing 5 years, we go 10 years out. Now, granted, what you see from 2031 to 2045, that's going to move and change a whole lot. That's why we don't show it to you. That changes all the time. But we need to know order of magnitude so that we don't get to 2032 and have to spend $100 million on a water plant and not have planned for that for the last 6 years. That we did that when we did the last water plant expansion. We met with the council and with our board 5 years ahead of when we started the water plant expansion. And we laid out a plan. We've got to spend this money. We have to expand the plant, which thank goodness we did. We would be beyond our 80% now if we hadn't. We had to expand that plant, but we knew we didn't want the burden to be all on the customers that we had then. We wanted some of that burden to be out in the future. So we came up with a 10-year plan, and we communicated that to council, and we communicated that to the board. We tried, the reason we do this and the reason we spend the time and energy we do on this, we're all customers too. Most of our employees, 95% of our employees are customers of Greenville Utilities. They don't want to be hit with surprises. We don't want to be hit with surprises. I will tell you, I was here in 2008 when we were part owners in Sharon Harris, Brunswick, the Roxboro coal plant, and the Mayo coal plant. We were minority owners with Power Agency in those plants. And we passed our budget in June of 2008. And in August of 2008, we had a 14.5% wholesale power cost increase that we had to pass along immediately because we hadn't had the opportunity to plan for it. One of the things I really like about the contract that we have now is Duke has to give us a forward look for 5 years. They can't just give us 1 year at a time. We get firm numbers 1 year at a time, but they give us projections for that so we can have a full plan, because we have to plan for those customers that have all 4 utilities. We can't plan for only electric or only gas or only water. We can't do that. We have to plan for all 4 utilities.
I had community meetings yesterday, and this was a topic of conversation for each one. One of the questions was how far GUC is in the black, and we discussed that some on Monday. And I didn't remember the exact number, but I knew it was somewhere around $800,000 after you guys had
let me see
taken care of all of your expenses.
I think this year, Jeff, we're looking at about $650,000. Right, we're projecting around $650,000 after we have replenished our rate stabilization fund
Right.
and funded our capital plan, and of course paid debt service. What we keep, you and I talked about this the other day when we talked. We're sending more money over here than we're keeping over there, and that's the charter. It was intended to be that way because we knew that we were going to have ups and downs, and that's why it's based on assets and not based on profit. We base that turnover on assets, so it can be calculated, it can be known. We know next year you're getting $8.8 million. We pay that over time to you, and it helps offset about 8% on the tax rate.
And then I have one last question. And this came from conversations with citizens, are there any future efforts being thought about for alternative services or sources?
Alternative sources.
Other than just Duke, because, that seems to have a level of monopoly, for alternative sources to help mitigate.
I will tell you that our contract with Duke runs through 2035. So we can't get out of this contract until 2035. We have to give Duke notice in 2029 if we want out in 2035.
Okay.
So we are now we're working with a group called Burns & McDonnell. Greenville Utilities is working with Burns & McDonnell. The Power Agency is working with a group called GDS Associates. Similar to what we did when we did the asset sale. Remember, we had our own consultants look at, is this best for Greenville Utilities, or do we need to get out of Power Agency altogether? We're looking at that again. We're looking at that again to make sure that there's not something out there that's better than what we got. It's going to be hard to be better than what we got because this contract right here has saved our customers over this last 10 years over $1 billion. It's going to be hard to beat that. But we know that there's some fallacies moving forward with it, that either Duke's going to have to tighten up and get better, or we're going to have to look for some other sources. So we're evaluating building our own generation, what other contracts are available out there. We've got a team that has been working on that for some time because we have to give that notice so far ahead.
I just want citizens to hear that.
I will say though that, I hate when anything goes up. We've seen just about everything has gone up in just every industry, and just from my past experience and my major, a normal inflationary year is between 2.5% and 3%.
That's what we used to use in the budget.
That's what's typical, but we're nowhere near those type of numbers right now, specifically over the last 3 to 5 years. it's not been even close to that. And I think they just said the projections just came out. I think it was either late last week or earlier this week. I can't remember when it was, but I think we're at the highest rate of inflation since 2023.
Not including energy and food. That's what blows my mind.
Right, right. And so, based off of the level of service that GUC offers, I think you guys are right in line with where you're offering a high quality of service for an affordable rate, which I believe is your mission, right? You know, and I'm fortunate enough to have other electric providers that I deal with, and the quality of service that GUC offers is incredible compared to some of those. And the fact that the reliability of the service, of the electric service, we've had sporadic outages every once in a while, but the speed that you're able to bring them back up is pretty incredible. And some of the technology that you guys have invested in, while also managing those rates over the years, is pretty astounding, right? I mean, I think that being able to understand how important it is to be able to keep those rates stable for so many years, like you had showed in some of the graphs, but also built the infrastructure to be able to support the growth that Eastern North Carolina is seeing, is pretty awesome. You know, and I think that not a lot of communities can say that they have a utility provider that can do that. And I've always said this, you know, as a community, you're either growing or you're dying.
That's right.
And Greenville is very fortunate to be growing right now. And one of the important things that we've talked about, and one of the reasons that, like you had mentioned, Invest Greenville and the organization, the formation of it was to be able to recruit businesses and recruit people to our area to be able to expand the number of people that are living in our area. And you guys have had the forethought to be able to invest in it so we can have the growth and see the growth that we're seeing right now, and also be able to pass on lower rates because of the amount of consumption that's taking place from that growth that we're seeing. So I don't want anybody not to see that you guys have done a really good job.
Well, I appreciate that. We have a good team and a good board. Yeah. You know, it starts with the board, just like, you know, with you guys, it starts with the board. And I'm glad that our charter says these are the kind of folks you need on your board, because it gives us a wide breadth of experience and expertise that we can draw from as a staff. We can bring options to the board, and we can tell them what the engineering and the math, the physical solution is, and then the board takes that and puts it with their experiences and their wisdom to then deal with everything else to make that decision, because it's not always a decision based on math and engineering, as we all know.
Right, and nobody wants anything to go up, right? None of us want it.
No,
because as it goes up and as we continue to pay more, we talked about fuel costs. The margins get thinner and thinner in every single industry, right? I think most people just look at it from when you fill up at the gas station, it's just costing you more there. Well, all your produce that comes from the grocery store gets delivered, you know,
Yep.
and those trucks are using that fuel. The longer this goes on and the higher the elevated costs are, everything that we purchase is going to get more expensive, and those margins are going to get thinner. And the fact that you're able to forecast and keep those rates to the increases that you have is pretty remarkable.
No, it's a team effort, and you know, we just have to be careful. We've got to be so careful, because it is a balancing act. We had a long discussion today, because we say lowest reasonable rates in our mission. That is in there, lowest reasonable rates. Well, then in our values it says, competitively speaking, low reasonable rates. And I said, well, wait a minute. Do we really want to say that? We do want to be low. We want to be competitive. But we have to keep in mind that affordability, because the demographics in Greenville are not like the demographics in Raleigh or Charlotte. Right? And we really have to concentrate on that. So, Councilmember Willis, if there are ideas on ways that we can help customers, then we're going to reach out. We're going to find out what those are. And we have been doing that. I don't want you to think we haven't.
And I don't.
And I think the numbers speak for themselves. That I tell our people all the time, whatever you can do to help a customer, you do it, because it is no benefit to them and it's no benefit to us for that meter to be off.
Right.
Period.
But, I mean, it's just exceptionally hard. This is probably the hardest conversation for me. It actually really hurts, because I serve the most vulnerable of our citizens, and housing and food insecurity, because of all of these things that we've talked about. are at an all-time high. And like I said earlier, every penny, every dollar counts, and so it just makes it super difficult.
And, perspective, it's even more troublesome and worrisome when you're not just getting hit with that maybe $10 a month, but the fuel to go to work or trying to go to, that's more expensive. The food you buy, your grocery store is more expensive. Your medical care, it's all across the board that a lot of our constituents are getting hit. So it's not like one thing's bothering, it's a whole raft of things. But having been involved now and seeing how everything works, if we look at like the cost of timber and stuff like that to build houses, how much has gone up, sometimes double and triple in gas prices. But for your leadership and your staff and your board, I'd hate to see what our rates would be at this point. And the future to see that stabilization program and what you've done to try and lessen the burden on those, particularly those who are less able to pay the bills, and then provide the quality of service. I mean, it's outstanding, and sometimes we don't understand what we really have until we know the metrics of it and compare ourselves with other people. But excellent, because but for your style of planning and your staff and the board that's carried it on to look down the road, not now, because there's a lot of people who look today and don't look down the road next year or even 5 or 10 years like you guys are doing, sometimes 20 and 30 years. It has saved our citizens a ton of money on this rate increase, and it still hurts, mind you, but I look and say, what if we had not done the stabilization? I know you guys, if I remember you buy the futures, you're kind of hedging, and you made some really good decisions, if I remembered, about the price of gas, buying it, 6 months did it, or something?
We layer in for 2 years.
Right, and you made some really good investments, which saved our citizens a bunch of money. But I want to end by saying this, which is, this is what you don't always hear. There's somebody in my neighborhood that lived in one of the older houses that apparently when they put the wires, the power wires in the ground, they didn't cover them up when the houses were built back then or something. And the power went out in the one house. Utilities are out there like 1 o'clock in the morning and had it fixed upon a call within like an hour. And they were so impressed. And they said, whoever runs that show, please tell them I said thank you. So that's what I'm doing now, saying thank you on behalf of that particular neighbor, because they were like, that's just crazy that they do that good. And that's what we see. We've had the benefit of, if there's a power outage, it's right back on almost immediately. And that goes again back to the service that your utilities people do. And they're top notch. I've always said that, which again, they get award after award. But I appreciate everything you and your staff and the employees do and the board has done to try and direct us and keep us. Because if not, there's no telling what rate we would be paying at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts, and also trying to serve us with those other benefits to help low-income people that are having struggles, because I know you care about those too.
And one of the things we had it in here, I think we skipped over it, but I wanted to make sure, Jeff may have mentioned it, we do partner with the city $150,000 a year on energy efficiency. We started doing that right after you took over, I think, or maybe.
That's right.
And that will pay dividends long-term, but that's additional money that we spend more money than anybody to try to get people to spend less money with us. I don't know if that's a good business model or not.
I was about to say, that sounds like a terrible business model.
Do any of our rehab programs have utility focus? I mean, I'm sure that
That's
they
what
do.
I said,
but,
yes, that's what he's saying, is that it's part of the
yeah,
program.
that was what I was going to mention, just elevate that and say any information about that.
And I would encourage the citizens, if they want to learn more about what we're doing, we have a treasure trove of information on our website. We've got 8 years worth of comprehensive annual financial plans that include our audit. We have 10 years worth of monthly financial statements out there. We have 10 years worth of agendas and minutes and meeting materials. It's all out there. And if anybody wants to see it, I encourage them to go look at it. It's there for the taking. So we're always here to answer questions if you guys have them.
Several months ago, Councilmember Robinson gave out his cell phone number. If you'd like to do that right now so you can answer questions directly.
I have Les's number. I'll give it out again.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tony, and I'll give yours out likewise.
Thank y'all so much.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Last item of the night, number 12, presentation of proposed 2026-27 budget for Greenville Airport Authority. we have the Vice Chair of the Pitt Greenville Airport, Michael Overton, to answer any questions you may have.
Hello, City Council. My name is Michael Overton. I'm Vice Chair of the Pitt Greenville Airport Board, and I promised Michael I'd keep you guys less than an hour tonight, so we'll get and get started, right? Had to have a chance to sit down with most of you and go through the airport. I'm just going to hit a few highlights and a few really quick announcements before we get going. In case you have not heard, Bill Hopper has announced his retirement. His last day with us will be June 30th of this year. And also tonight in the chamber, we have Brandon Kraft, who is our new Executive Director. Would love for you, after this meeting, if you have a chance to introduce yourself to him. Brandon does have intents over the next few weeks to sit down with each of you one by one, understand your concerns with the airport and ways we can improve it, because that is our goal. So just a few really quick highlights. Pitt Greenville Airport, right now, we have 65 based aircraft, producing somewhere around $1.1 million in total tax revenue for the airport. So we really have kind of our three business centers. If you want to look at it that way, we have our commercial service, which everyone's really familiar with, American Airlines. You have your based aircraft, they're the people who own an airplane and want to keep it. And then our third one of those who fly in, get fuel, and leave. And that's really how we're going to kind of look going forward at the airport, of how do we increase those independent revenue centers. Based aircraft is really big. We want to have incentive packages to recruit more aircraft to Greenville. The result of that generally would be full hangars, means more hangar rent, more fuel, and then for you in the county, more tax revenue. So that's something we're working on there. We are also actively working to recruit additional airlines for the airport. As most of you are aware, in 2020 we had 5. Post-COVID, we dropped to 3. Before 2020, the airport generally was revenue neutral or even slightly profitable. We have been in an operating loss since that time. Understanding that is not a sustainable model for us, we are actively going out to try to recruit additional aircraft and also understand the economic impact. If you look at the economic impact of Pitt Greenville Airport right now, it is somewhere around 1,200 jobs. It is in your packet, and also produces over $234 million in economic impact for our area. We've done some really quick studies that if we brought 2 additional aircraft in, it could bring potentially another $90 million in economic impact. So whatever you give is not a dollar for dollar return. It is a significant return economically for our area. And that is something that would help the commercial side, because right now almost 88% of the passengers that fly out of Raleigh. So we have an 88% leakage rate. 8.8 out of 10 people daily go to Raleigh. And so it's important for us to get them here. It's also important for Invest Greenville that we have a strong airport, because as they're trying to recruit to bring in additional businesses, they want to know, those businesses want to know, where are you going? What areas are you serving? Because that is important for their executives and employees to go through to do that. Airport Capital Improvement Program, we've got over $33 million over the next 5 years with 0% local match. So that's great. That's usually state or federal funding that's supplying that. So a lot of projects going on, and then Brandon, as part of his goal here, is to really work on our repair and replacement plans as well as our capital improvement plans, because we have a lot going on out there. To make a repair for an FAA run or overseeing airport is a whole lot more expensive than making a repair for any other government thing, which we all know is a lot more expensive than doing it ourselves. So very important that we have compliance in those areas and are staying on top of what we do have. So that's really kind of just a very quick summary. Our ask tonight is that you would approve the budget as proposed with appropriation for the airport. I am here to answer any questions for you, but also to thank you for the support you've given, sitting down one by one with you to talk about the airport, to let you know of all the things we do have going on to improve it, but also hearing your voices to make sure we're addressing any concerns you have. So any questions? I said an hour. Come on, that's like 3 minutes.
No, I mean, I'll say that, I've been very frustrated with, I guess, the airport over the years, and I guess the lack of of change, and I feel like it was an underutilized asset for our community. We've always talked about the importance of having good quality service over there, and my hope is as we move forward that that will change, that it will be an economic driver that really makes a significant impact, not only for the citizens of Greenville, but also for our business community. And, you know, I know that a lot of people know that the city manager and myself and our lobbyists, we're up in Raleigh having conversations with some of our legislators looking at additional funding to be able to help recruit and be able to bring another commercial airline to our area to be able to offer services, because you know as well as I know, throughout the industries in our community and even industries that we're trying to recruit, they want additional commercial services, right? They want to be able to have the ability to fly right into Greenville. And to me, it's not a good selling feature that we tell people that they can get in their car and drive an hour and a half up to Raleigh and load on a flight there and go there. Why would they just not locate in Raleigh or somewhere around it? Well, of course, Wake County's got 1.3 million people in it, and it's probably expanding out of control. But we've got to find ways that we can be able to turn assets in our community into true assets and actually utilize them. And I think that there's a lot of potential with the airport. It doesn't have to be some type of regional airport that has, 15 different flights that are flying out of there. That's never going to be that way, right? It was never designed to be that way. But there's ways for us to be able to maximize what the airport can do for our community and to be able to provide commercial airline services. And the other thing it'll be a task, but I think that with Invest Greenville's help, they'll be able to help market the airport and really bring customers back there. We want people to be able to fly out of the airport, but we also have to show that we've got a good quality product. And I know you have some new board members, you got a new executive director. I'm excited to be able to see some changes take place over there, because we really need the success of PGV for Greenville to continue to grow in the direction that it is, because there's a lot of great things that are happening around us, but we need Pitt Greenville Airport to be one of those assets that helps take us to the next level.
Mr. Mayor, I can assure you that's how we feel as a board. That's why we are making the changes we're making and the investments and the time that we've been in this, doing what we've been doing. We can honestly say probably has not been working. So what we have to do is change. I think with Brandon's leadership, his experience, you'll find can bring a new light to the airport. I think he feels we actually have a really good crew there and a lot of opportunity. But to keep doing what we're doing is not acceptable to us. With the operating losses we've had is not acceptable to us, nor is it sustainable long term. To Greenville Airport, again, that was a report done by NC State University for the Department of Transportation, Department of Aviation within the DOT. We have a significant economic impact for our area. However, our economic impact out of the 10 commercial airports is 10. That's not acceptable to me. When New Bern's and Jacksonville's economic impact is greater for their areas than ours is, that's not acceptable to me. So we know that we have the opportunity to grow, to be an asset for the community. We know from a commercial standpoint that we have to bring in additional aircraft that will help economically for our area, as well as just the people that are in our area flying in and out on a daily basis. I heard today someone who used to fly pre-2020 out of Greenville all the time, because if you miss one flight, there was another one a couple hours later. Now, if you miss one flight, you're going to sit there half a day. Mm-hmm. And that has made it challenging. So we've got to work really hard with American. We control what we can control. Right. One of the biggest things that we can do right now, one of the biggest focus areas that we've told Brandon he's got to work on is our customer service. We've got to deliver the best product in the best way that we can. But we can't control American completely. We can't control TSA completely. Right. However, that doesn't mean we can't open communication lines with them to work on improving the customer service across the board. And again, that is just one area of the business. And the other areas you really don't hear about, because it really doesn't impact the public, but it has a massive impact on the airport itself, are those private planes, because that's what pays the tax dollars to you. But the best ones are the transient planes. They're the people that fly into Greenville, they're here for a few hours, they pay landing fees, they buy fuel, and they're gone. They're not a burden to the airport, they're a profit for the airport. We've got to do a better job of recruiting those people. Stop in Greenville, fill your plane up, get something to eat at Parker's Barbecue while you're here, whatever it takes to get them to come to Greenville, to visit our airport, to make an impression on them so that they'll come back. So those are all the areas we're going to work on. Yeah.
I was going to mention, Mr. Overton, the customer service that you just mentioned as just something that we can control and something that we can improve on pretty easily, I feel like. I know there's some good stuff like the coffee we're offering at the gate, stuff like that, but just making it a place that people want to be, that tells a story about what Greenville is, who Greenville is, the exciting things that we have happening here, to tell that story. I loved your idea about having a barbecue restaurant there, because barbecue is our thing. And you mentioned my hometown, near Pinehurst, with the Carthage Airport. They have Pick and Pig,
Absolutely.
which is
I've been there.
Which is an attraction for the daily flyers, like you're saying, that will come in, have lunch, fill up, and go somewhere else. I think if we had something like that, that would be so cool for our regular commercial flyers, but also to attract and just provide a higher level of service, something that's interesting that people talk about that make it unique. I think would go a long way.
Well, I think some of what you just said had to do with my presentation last Monday at the economic breakfast that Invest Greenville had, and part of what I want to see the airport do, because it is one of the first things people see if they've ever come to Greenville, is to tell the story. Who is Greenville and what do we have to offer? The history, the education, the arts, the food, all those things that we have here that are so special that people don't know about. A lot of people that live here don't know about. So tell that story and make an impression. Yeah, honestly, it's kind of like a morgue right now. We're going to change that. That's not acceptable. It's the reality. I think most of you would agree. But the beauty is we have a lot of opportunity, and we plan to take advantage of it.
And the biggest selling feature is that it's easy. It's really convenient to go and drive 5 minutes, and when you get back home, you drive 5 minutes home. But to just capitalize that and make it even better with customer service, making it even easier to get it out, and then having stuff to do while you're there, I think would be really great. And I know you have a lot of plans in place, but I just want to encourage you and say that I'm excited about that.
Well, Mayor, just to jump on what you just said, I mean, Invest Greenville has come alongside us. They're working on a business center inside the terminal right now. Hasn't started, but the plans are working on. We have a breastfeeding pod that we're working on trying to get funding for. Hopefully we'll have that in maybe by the fall. Working with ECU to try to do a kids play area. So there are small things we can do. They're also buying new televisions for the terminal. But then we want to work with Invest Greenville and Maria Satira's trying to set up a marketing committee so that we can really be focused on the marketing. Butts in seats is what I like to say. It's probably not appropriate to say that in public. But we need people to fly there. They need to understand what we have in our own community. We've got to increase it. To see the long-term success of the airport, we have to succeed.
And I think I agree with you too when you said it's not just Greenville Airport, right, when it comes down to commercial services. And one of the things that we had discussed when we were up there talking to legislators was the need for competition, right? You know, we know how important it is to have competition. I used the example when we were up there, we were talking to one of the legislators, how important it was for us to be able to recruit Metronet to our area, because we had one show in town and they were offering not an adequate service, to put it, I guess, properly. And now we've got Metronet, which is now T-Mobile. We have Optimum, and we've got Brightspeed. That are all being offered. And guess what? The quality of the service is a lot better than it was before. The number of complaints that I used to get about the previous service, the previous name that it was under, was unbelievable. I mean, that was probably the #1 complaint, more than potholes. I was getting more calls about that, and I was like, it's completely out of my control. But that's how important it is to be able to have competition. I think being able to get another airline to PGV is going to be incredibly important to not only be able to help out with the service that's already there, but also it's going to build some rapport with the people that have been burnt for years of having bad quality and bad experiences with a commercial airline service that's being offered right now. So my hope is that we'll be able to recruit another commercial airline to be able to come here and offer good service and also improve the services that are currently being offered.
I just want to say, Michael, you and I know this, and Dan out there at the airport, when we talked Dan into being chair, you know, when he was retired, and Dan and I have known each other for over 5 decades, and a lot of challenges. And I know that the two of y'all have put in an untold number, probably hundreds of hours of your personal time into this project. And there are a lot of challenges, and I've been very vocal about my frustrations about it. But, you know, I remember Brandon sitting out there. I have probably a benefit of most of it. I've known Brandon for a very long time. And I will tell this council, hands down, with no reservations, he is a leader, number one. Number two, he has a unique ability to surround himself with people that understand the vision and have the motivation. And I will tell you third, even though you and I have been on opposite sides of the spectrum sometimes, that he has a focus and a commitment to making whatever he's involved in being the best that there is. And he and I had breakfast one morning. It was at Black Watch, like 7:30 in the morning, talking about, you know, his interest and what our interests were. And, you know, we all understand we can't make this airport the biggest, but hands down, we can make it one of the best in the state. And I know Brandon shares that vision, and he's got 120% commitment. And I'm bragging on him now because, I mean, he doesn't know I was going to say any of this stuff, but it's like a challenge, but it's not just a challenge because I know his character. He will make that airport a physical showpiece. And he will, with his team that he chooses and people he gets behind to work with him, he's going to make it a reputation and character builder so that it's going to be known across the state as one of the best in the state. And he understands the PR game and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see him. I'm so excited for him. I'm excited for his family because they're getting him back around here again. And I know he's going to do great things. And this airport is going to be a game changer. And he's going to turn it around. And thanks, Michael and Dan, y'all's leadership in that effort. It's going to be turned around. It's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to bragging some more on Brandon because I've known him personally. I guarantee you, this man has nothing but 120% speed, and that's the way he is. And he's competitive, and so it's his challenge. He wants to make this the best. So I'm excited to see him come in and be on board and start doing his thing and exercising all those skill sets that he has. So I'm proud to see you, Brandon. I look forward to seeing you soon again.
And one last thing, Mr. Robinson,
Yes,
you
sir.
will be very happy to know that hopefully in the next 60 days, we will be selecting a new parking vendor to replace our antiquated 15-year-old parking system.
That makes
So
me
that was
happy.
one of the things that he's been complaining about since I've been on the board, and we're finally to the point of getting that done.
Good. Michael, again, thank you so much.
Sir, any other questions?
No questions, just comment. We've had some conversations.
Yes, ma'am.
And a lot of the challenges or perceived weaknesses, what is optimistic is that they're actually opportunities.
That's right.
And I see you all taking advantage of the opportunities.
Thank you.
Hey, wonderful job. We appreciate
Good
it.
job, Michael.
All right, thank you all.
Dan, thank you too. Brandon, thank you for coming on board. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Well, we got through the regular business. Now the most important part of the meeting.
Tell you what, I actually thought we were going to go to about 11 o'clock, so I didn't, I was going to.
Anything else you want to
So-
talk about? Got any other plans?
So I'll just say, our assistant city manager, Danae Alexander, did lose her mom at the end of last week. And it's tough to lose a parent. It is. You lose a part of yourself. And lost both mine and miss them every day. But we know that she had a great mom because she raised her and her sister. And we know what kind of character that she has. So we just need to continue to lift her up and pray for her and be there for her when she comes back. And just let her know we're thinking about her and we love her. That's all I got.
Very nice. Reverend McGirt.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Quickly, I'll just echo what Michael said. Condolences to Danae and her entire family. God's grace to her. And also, congratulations to Andrew Schmidt on his retirement. Great leader and an even nicer person. So that's all.
The most anticipated city clerk's report.
I will echo the sentiments of our city manager and city attorney. Just thoughts and prayers with Danae and her family.
Very nice. Let's start with Councilmember Scully.
Thank you, Mayor. I will just echo those comments as well and continue to pray for Danae and her family. No further comments.
Hey, I like that. Let's go with Councilmember Hardy.
Yesterday, we had the ribbon cutting of our live burn training facility. It was my first ribbon cutting on council. It was a pretty special moment, and that facility is a huge addition to District 3 and to the city. I think it's also a great investment to the public safety and the training of our firefighters. And I'm excited to see the impact that it has on our department and then departments across the region. And then Councilmember Robinson kind of stole some of my comments at the end of the PGV airport presentation, but I just want to say that while I've not been on the board very long, I will say that I do commend the board there for going above and beyond what regular board members should and really do put into the work that they do on certain commissions. And I'm really excited to see this airport move in the right direction. I'm already seeing it now, and I'm really excited to meet Brandon Kraft and get to work with him.
Very nice. Councilmember Jones.
Good evening, good evening. I do want to also send my heartfelt condolences to Danae. I do understand, even though everybody's loss is different, I do understand the loss of parents. I also want to say congratulations to Mr. Billy Leavy on his retirement from Public Works, and congratulations to all of those that were selected to serve on a board and commission. I know I was excited when I was elected or chosen to serve on a board, but just know that you also have a direct way that you influence local government outside of being an elected official. You also stand out because you advise city council, you shape policy recommendation, you review projects, and you represent community interests. So make sure you do it and do it with pride. Y'all have a great night.
Very nice, very nice. Councilmember Willis.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations to Mr. Billy Leavy. Also, it's National Police Week, so thank you to all of our law enforcement that serve our city day in and day out. And this past Wednesday night, the Citizen Planning Academy started up, and so excited for them to be able to have that opportunity. And since it was brought up during public comment about the presentation on Monday, I had an opportunity to speak about that Monday evening in the comments, and I stand by those comments. I think we can't, in good faith and good conscience, sit here and say that there haven't been issues with the implementation of ICE policies within our country. Here in Greenville, like I said, our goal and what I think it should be is that we have a certain spirit that makes everyone feel safe. And at the very rumor of ICE being in our city or in our county, the fact that there are families that don't go to school or there are people that don't go to work because they are fearful of being swept up in a implementation under the guise of rooting out criminals, not to say that they don't, but that we cannot say that there have not been egregious errors and that people haven't lost their lives in the implementation of ICE policies. Like I said, I think that everyone deserves dignity and respect, and we can implement policies at the highest level while still maintaining a certain level of respect for all people. And I do not feel like that's been done in the implementation of ICE policies. So I respect everyone's opinion and everyone's perspective, but I don't think, like I said, in good faith and conscience, we can say that there have not been severe, tragic consequences to the implementation of those policies. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Robinson.
Heck, yeah, good. Billy Leavy, congratulations, man. Almost three decades of service. That speaks volumes about him, his character, but also speaks volumes about the work environment in which he comes to work in. And so, Billy, thank you so much for dedicating your life for 3 decades almost, and for your wife to sharing you with us. Also, Brian Fisher, many of you, I call him Fish. He's a police officer. He just retired today after 30 years of service. Brian is the epitome of a police officer. I mean, he is #1. I've done thousands of cases with him. He's worked behind the scenes. He's worked on a national level. Always been the low-key guy that does great things and never wants any accolades. So, Brian, I hope you're watching, and man, congratulations to you and your family. I'm super proud of you. I'm glad you stayed around, and I look forward to seeing you in some other endeavors, as I'm sure I will. To Danae, I hope you're watching us today. You're in our thoughts and prayers. I promise you that. And I think you should take great comfort that I am sure your mom is in heaven right now, smiling big at her legacy. And I'm absolutely 1,000% comfortable that she's smiling big at that legacy in her new home. So take great comfort in that, as you should. We talk about partnerships with our county commissioners and our city council members and private people. And I had the benefit yesterday to attend another one of those at Pitt Community College to open up the Greenville Toyota Welding Technology Building. I hope many of you have had a chance to meet Craig Goyes and his family. If you've not, this man has an open heart that seems to have no limit. He keeps giving and giving and giving. So he was a major contributing factor in this welding technology building, along with the Golden Leaf Foundation, the county commissioners, and also the Pitt County Board of Commissioners. And I want to illustrate a couple of things about this facility. It is the largest welding technology facility in the entire state. And we need workforce development, and that's what this facility does. It has over 100 building booths to weld in. It has robotic welding. It has outdoor stuff. I think, Michael, tell me if I'm not correct, 37,000 square feet. And so, again, the public and partner partnerships of doing that, because that's an amazing that our local community college has the biggest welding program in the entire state, and we need those people in high demand. So if you're thinking about something, thinking maybe college is not quite right for you, please go look at Pitt Community College. The welding is an amazing program, and people make great careers out of it. So congratulations to them. Next, I want to echo what Councilmember Hardy said about the live burning training facility. I've said this already on social media. We've got the best firefighters and EMS workers, and when we have the best, we have to give them the best tools and resources so they continue to improve. And that was a great step. A lot of times we speak words of affirmation about what we want to do, but I'm so happy that this city council doesn't speak the words only. They take action, and I really believe, looking at that yesterday out there with the mayor on the top, looking out across the grounds that were not quite developed yet, that my hope and wish is that this is going to be a live burning training facility, not just for our officers, men and women, but for Eastern North Carolina. So again, it helps put us on the map. So congratulations to all those who serve us, and I think over 700 hours already committed in this facility. So we all know that when an officer comes to a scene of an accident or as a crime, you don't want the fourth or fifth best. You want the number one. When the man's coming or the woman's coming to your house because you've had a medical emergency, we all have to admit we don't want the fourth or fifth best. We want the number one. And then finally, house is on fire, you've left the grease on the stove or something. We want the best, and I believe our men and women in this department and the leadership, that's what they are aspiring to be, and this city council is giving them the tools and resources. I'm super proud about that. I want to echo Councilmember Willis's comment about National Police Week. It's all this week. If you see a police officer, just take the time and step out and say thank you to them. I mean, they may say for what? Just say for doing your job, because when we're inside the AC, they're outside in the heat. We're in the warmth, they're in the cold. When we're celebrating with our families during holidays, they're out there on the streets protecting us, as well as our firefighters and EMS. So just take the time to walk up to one and say, hey, I appreciate what you do. Because that goes a long ways when you say thank you, and just take the time to do that. This is kind of a milestone that's really interesting. Many of you may remember that in '07, unfortunately, Officer Jason Campbell lost his life in the line of duty. And tragic event, and I mean, well loved by everybody. Well, just this week, his daughter, which used to run around the police department, is now a sworn police officer with the Greenville Police Department. So Ashley, if you're looking on, congratulations to you. Just like Danae, I am sure your dad is looking down and smiling big at the legacy of his daughter. So congratulations to you, and we always remember your dad. Next, we talk about economic development. I'm sorry to be so long-winded, but Mr. Beast Games, Jimmy Donaldson, Mama Beast, as I call all that crowd, thank you so much for being committed to Greenville. 800 people involved in that, I believe. If I understand, 700 meals were served, last night, Michael? Through Villa Verde. That's amazing economic impact. I think there's only a few hotel rooms left that they haven't occupied. They're probably all gone. And so, thank you for that, to the whole crowd, because that's what it's about. Finally, Andrew Smith, I was there to see this kind of send-off. He's done wonderful things. Again, I can't say enough, Andrew, just in my short time of getting involved with everything with you. Thank you so much. You were a great leader, and you keep moving forward. And I think with that, Mayor, with my brief comments, I think I'm concluded. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Foreman?
I concur with the other things that have been elevated. That's all.
Likewise, condolences to Danae and her family. We'll keep you in your thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilmember Robinson, second by Councilmember Scully. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Motion passes 6-0.
Enjoy their weekend.